they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Propaganda's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies.
All right. Hello, everyone. Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so also please double check to make sure you're still subscribed, because sometimes people mysteriously become unsubscribed. Okay, so with that all being said, let me just make this announcement before I even get started. Some of you are going to like what I say. Some of you are not going to like it. That's okay. I don't have a problem on this channel with contrary views or opinions. And I've said that a myriad of times. So at the end of the day, as long as you're not disrespectful, you're welcome to be in here and express your views and thoughts. That being said, don't come in here talking about anybody's hating, because none of this is about hate. And that's what I want people to realize, and that's why we're having this conversation. None of the things that were said about Tisa Tells, well, you know, I can't say that some people weren't hating on her, but what I will say, I was never hating on her. And those of you who've been following me, you know that. I never said anything about Tisa Tells until she said something about me first. Now, here's the thing, and let me just make this clear. There are some people that, you know, they're going to ride for their people that they follow on social media. That's to be expected. I expect my loyal royals to ride for me. I expect for the tattletales to ride for Tisa. I expect for anybody's people to ride for them. Okay. But the bottom line is, whether we're riding for people or not, let's just call a spade a spade. Let's talk about the truth. Let's talk about facts. And let's not get so caught up with riding for people that we let them skirt by when they're doing something nefarious. Because what I often see is that some people on ScrewTube really give some people a pass. Some people can throw shade and talk trash about other people, call people nasty names, and people will still defend them tooth and nail. But when those same people that they threw the shade at call the nasty names, well, when they respond and say something back to them, then people get mad. Well, if you're not mad about what they said, don't be mad about what the other person said in response, because for every action, there is in fact a reaction. And I find it interesting that when Tisa Tells called me a drowning rat and a hamster, some of her followers, rather than calling her out on her BS, because again, I had never said anything negative about her. I said she's a beautiful young lady. I shouted her out several times. Can I get ones in the chat for those of you who have heard me shout Tisa Tells out? Even recently, since I was at the trial, I shouted out both her and Armand Wiggins. I said, because being here, boots on the ground, is hard work. It's a lot to get up and come to the court in the mornings and stay there all day. You're tired. You're running out trying to do lives. You're trying to rush home to do lives. It is a whole lot of work. And I said, shout out to Tisa Tails and Armand Wiggins, because they both have been here from day one, boots on the ground. Now, with that all being said, for anyone to think that the queen is hating on Tisa or anyone else is really obtuse, because Tisa's not the only person I've called out for lying. You guys who've been following me know that I have called out other people as well. For example, Grandmaster Jay, also known as John Fitzgerald. You all remember him, the leader of the NFAC, the Not Effing Around Coalition. I called him out as an agent. I let you all know that there were some shady things that he was doing, and that I felt like it was going to be a detriment to Black people, that he was leading people down a path of destruction, and that people were going to eventually end up in prison due to his foolishness. He was saying terroristic threats online, talking about kidnapping the mayor and throwing him in the trunk of the car, talking about kidnapping the mayor's kids. But funny thing is, YouTube never took down his channel for saying those things. No one ever pressed charges on him for terroristic threats. I told you all that eventually, when his job for the government is over, what is he going to do? He's going to disappear from social media, never to be seen or heard from again, because he'll be on his next assignment, and they'll tell us that he's somewhere in jail or prison for his nefarious deeds. Funny thing is, that is exactly what they told us. They said that he was pointing his gun at a person, of one of the federal agents, on top of a building in Louisville, Kentucky, at the All Eyes on Bree protest. So they want to send him to jail for that for 7 years, is what we're supposed to believe. But they didn't care that he was talking about kidnapping a mayor and his kids and throwing them in the trunk of a car. They didn't care that he was online saying that he would go door to door, taking people out. And I was there in person, boots on the ground, at the formation he had July the 4th of 2020 at Stone Mountain Park in Georgia, when he said to the crowd, myself included, because I was there, that if he found out that anyone infiltrated his group, that he would take them out. And you know where the police were when he said that? The police were standing right there. Now, some of you realized that he was a whole agent. Some of you may still think that he was legit, but you should ask yourselves, as I told you before, when he was saying all of these things and leading the formation for truth and justice and protest against the police in the names of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd, why did he have the police escorting him? Can you imagine Huey P. Newton calling the police that he's protesting against to escort him in the protest against him? Does that make any sense? Of course it doesn't. He was working with the police. It was all orchestrated. Now, for those of you that have common sense and critical thinking skills, you've already found that out, and you've already seen that what I said to you was absolutely true. And by the way, as far as me telling you that someone would end up in prison because of his foolishness, well, isn't Orenthal in prison? Orenthal Wallace, aka Ozone, isn't he in prison? And who was he besides one of the people that was following Grandmaster Jay? Okay, so I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. So when I call people out, I'm not calling you out because of hate. I'm calling you out because you need to be called out, because I feel that what you're doing is detrimental, okay? Specifically to my community. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about it. I'm going to walk you so that you get an understanding of it through some of the things that actually transpired when we were at the Diddy trial. Now, I got there on the 3rd week. Okay, I got there on the 3rd week, but I will say this, the entire time I was there, I was actually in the main courtroom. I was in the overflow courtroom once because I got there a little late. And that day, I didn't feel like paying for a line sitter. I didn't want to spend the extra cash. I didn't want to spend $150 when I can go in the overflow room and hear everything that's going on and see what's going on a screen. But other than that, I was always in the courtroom, the main courtroom. Tisa Tails as well was always in the main courtroom, except for one day. She too was in the overflow courtroom one day towards the end. So when she gets on her lives and says, y'all need to believe me because I was there in the main courtroom, and she's acting like people that were in the overflow couldn't get the same assessment of the details and evidence and testimony as the rest of us? Well, that's just not true. That's just not true. They could absolutely hear and see what was going on. Now, maybe they couldn't see it as visually or as vivid as we could because we're right there. But nonetheless, they were still privy to the same information. So I thought it was just a little shady of her to be saying that, oh, I wasn't, no shade to the overflow room, but when she's throwing shade, I was in the main courtroom, listen to me. Well, there were other people on YouTube that were also in the main courtroom. And I find it interesting that some of us didn't see or hear any of the things that she reported. Now, I'm not saying all the things, of course, some of the things she said were absolutely truthful, but there were some things that just were not. But we'll get into that later. Let's talk about why there was, this, how do I want to put it? There were some people who just didn't want to be bothered with her. It all started out when Tisa got there. She was working hard, boots on the ground. She made friends with ABC and other news broadcasters or news people or whatever, real reporters. She got good with them. Okay. And that's fine. We're all there to network. But the bottom line is, once she started getting in good with them and started getting what I call preferential treatment in some cases, well, that rubbed some people the wrong way. Now, you can say that people were hating, but I don't think they were hating. I think that some people just didn't like the fact that they may have gotten there 12 a.m. in the morning and they're standing in line only for Tisa to be allowed to waltz in whenever she felt like it and go straight to the front of the line. Now, I will say that sometimes she did actually pay for line sitters. I will say that, because how you know that someone has a line sitter is because when they show up, they get in the line. Or when the person shows up that's paid for the sitter, they get in the line and then the line sitter leaves. Okay. So you know that they had a line sitter. But there were also days when Tisa would walk up to the front, get in front of everybody and say she had a line sitter, but we never saw anyone leave. Now, I myself never said anything about it because I said that's her. It doesn't matter to me really, because I'm going to still get into the main courtroom. But what happened was there were people who were fanning out over Tisa and some other YouTubers as well. But we're talking about Tisa right now. There were some people who were fanning out over her. So it seemed to them later in hindsight, a few of them said that they feel like she used that opportunity to just cut in front of them or to manipulate them into letting her get past them in line. Okay. And then people started to get upset about it. So when people started to get upset about Tisa doing that, then what do you think is next? They started getting upset about other YouTubers, myself included. Now, I was always usually there, to get a seat in line, to get a spot in line so that I would get into the main courtroom. Sometimes I had to pay a line sitter, which I didn't want to do, but at least 3 times I paid a line sitter. Or I bought someone's space in line is what I really did. I paid a line sitter once, and then twice I bought someone's space. Someone who was there, it was usually a homeless person, because a lot of the people, the line sitters were usually homeless people who were going to be sleeping outside all night anyway. Okay. So there was 2 times that I bought a spot from somebody in line. Okay. And there was 1 time that I bought a line sitter. But what happened is, because so many of the public, not YouTube content creators, but so many of the public got upset that Tisa had been doing these things, they started to take it out on us as well, and then started accusing us of not actually paying the people or cutting the line and things like that. And so it led to a lot of chaos and confusion. And then also the fact, it was compounded by the fact that Tisa started talking down on people, being very condescending, and started all of a sudden, when she gets in good with ABC, she starts acting like she's better than everybody else and just talking down. And a lot of people, of course, that rubbed them the wrong way. No one wants to feel disrespected, but I'm sure some of her fans and followers will not have a problem with the fact that she was actually being disrespectful to people. Now, for those of you who follow me from day one and that were on my live the other day, I told you all that I confronted Tisa when I first got there about her calling me a drowning rat and a hamster on YouTube. Now, the reason I did that as soon as I got there, it was the second day when I was close to her. The reason I did that was because I didn't want to be there and then have this uncomfortable tension or have this unresolved issue. So I confronted her about it. Hey, Miss Tisa, tell us how you doing. What about, what's up with you calling me a drowning rat and a hamster? So I asked her about it. And also, I'm the kind of person that if you talk trash online, you should be able to talk the same trash and have the same energy in person. Wasn't about me trying to start anything, trying to bully her. I wanted to know why she called me that. What had I done to her? Rather than her explain why or give me a valid reason, she instead chose to pretend she didn't even know who I was. I'm sorry, do you have a YouTube channel? Um, I do. How long have you had your channel? Do I know you? And I called cap on that because she was clearly gaslighting and deflecting. I'm like, Tisa, you know exactly who I am. And as someone reminded me days ago, she has actually been in my chat. You all know, how many of you remember when she was in my chat, when me and Lisa Cabrera were on here talking about her commentary on Jay-Z and Diddy, on those allegations with Miss Jane Doe? Once in the chat, if you all remember, once in the chat, if you all remember, talk to me, I talk black, says facts. Neek said this yesterday, okay? Once in the chat, if you remember, that she was in my chat talking smack to me. Now, I've never been in her chat talking smack to her. And in fact, anything I've ever said about her was in direct response to things that she said first. Like I said, I have shouted her out. I have given her compliments. And I can't say that she's ever shouted me out, at least not that I know of, okay, or given me a compliment. And not that she had to. But my point is this. Please don't call me a hater because I'm calling her out on her BS. Because you darn sure didn't think I was a hater when I was saying flattering things about her and when I was shouting her out, okay, for her due diligence in some cases. With that all being said, let's talk about it. That was the main thing that rubbed people the wrong way, with her talking condescending to people. And then here's the thing. There were times that even some reporters couldn't get into the main courtroom. Okay. There were times that some of them couldn't even get into the main courtroom because they got there too late, because they would let in 21 reporters and 14 from the public. Now when Tisa ended up getting on a list so that she could just go in, and she didn't even any longer have to even stand in line. She got her name on the list with some of the reporters and she could just go in. There was a reporter who had credentials. Tisa had no press credentials. I know people have told me, and I didn't hear this for myself, but a few people have told me that she did a video the other day saying that she had press credentials. Well, she didn't have any press credentials. That's a lie. Okay, she may have applied for them now because as YouTubers, we can get independent, press credentials, but she didn't have any when she was there. None at all. If she did, tell her to show it to you on the live. Tell her to bring her press credentials, or tell her to show you a picture or screenshot from a video where she reported on the trial while we were there, where she was wearing press credentials, because the people who had them wore them around their neck. They had to. They had to have them around their neck so that everyone could check and make sure they were legit, and so they would be allowed to go in with the press. Okay? Are y'all getting that? Okay, are y'all getting that? Now, Sunset said, Tisa called the jurors ignorant, and I was done with her 100%. I thought that was really disrespectful to the jurors because they didn't do anything to her. And I find it interesting because she did a video on yesterday that I saw a portion of it. I watched a few minutes of it. And she was, I skimmed through it, watching a few minutes here, a few minutes there, a few minutes here. But she was basically saying that she's the kind of person that she likes to be cordial with people. And that if somebody says something or whatever, she'll just let it go. She didn't even let the jurors go. What did the jurors ever do to her? Not only did she call them misogynistic, she said they were old men in the jury box and they should have had younger people. She called them dummies. She said she hopes that they can sleep good at night. She said a bunch of things about them. She talked about during the trial, she talked about their facial expressions and all of that. Okay, making fun of them. She said that they were paid off by Diddy. She should, in fact, be concerned about a defamation, libel, and slander lawsuit, okay? Because some of those jurors could actually sue her for saying such things. She has no proof that they were paid off by Diddy. She has no proof that Diddy paid anybody anything, okay? That's what she doesn't have. And I'll say this also. She said that we were Diddy supporters who read up on her. Well, here's the thing. Sunset Night said her shouting you out, Queen, was her stealing your content using your talking points. Well, thank you, beloved. That's exactly why me and her had a beef before we ever got to the court. Because she called me a drowning rat and a hamster because I called her out for stealing my content. Okay, and for using my talking points. And I've already shown you all, I'm not going to rehash it now because I don't want to waste the time, but I've already shown you all once in the chat, please, if you've ever seen me or any of the videos I've done showing how Tisa has literally copied my commentary word for word. And I showed you the timestamps so you knew that I absolutely said it first. Even hashtag you heard it here first. That's my catchphrase. But she stole that too. And she gets away with it because she has the complexion. Okay, she's light skinned. And we all know that a lot of people who look like me prefer light skinned people over dark skinned people, specifically when it comes to females. We also know that she has pretty privilege. Tisa's a beautiful young lady and she uses that to her advantage. Now, I'm not going to say that I blame her, but what I will say is that allows for people collectively, not everybody, but people collectively to give her favor, to give her a pass, to let her say things. Like the day somebody had the nerve to jump in my comments and tell me, wow, you sure are mad because she called you a drowning rat and a hamster. I'm not supposed to feel some type of way about that. I'm supposed to just let that slide. I'm not supposed to have anything to say. But I find it interesting because that same person who left me that comment was talking slick about me because I ran up on her at the trial on the day of the verdict, and I told her that she was a lying ass bitch. Okay, now maybe I shouldn't have called her a bitch, but I did. I was caught up in the moment and I was already upset by the transaction or the interaction that happened upstairs that I was told about with her following somebody up to the elevator, not on it, and then said, "What you say? What you say about me? Huh? And they turned around and told her, I said that you lied. What did I lie about? And then when they start telling her what she lied about, and this is ratchet that I'm talking about, but when he started telling her what she was lying about, she was sitting there like, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But you're on video absolutely saying it. You're on video saying it. So when people sit there and act like he was disrespecting her, well, she first disrespected him. And that's just the facts. Ask anybody who was there and anybody who saw it. She first disrespected him. And then she called him a janitor and said that he was broke. Okay, so that's talking down on people. At the end of the day, you can talk about what people did in their past, because I saw some people saying some things about Ratchet and his past or whatever. Okay, whether that's true or not, that doesn't have anything to do with the vitriol between he and Tisa. Okay, and then people saying Tisa was intimidated. He was trying to bully her. Well, she was walking up on him in the courthouse. So when he gets outside and confronts her, how is he intimidating her? She wasn't intimidated by him. Any woman that's intimidated by a man is not going to walk up them, breathing down their neck, going in on them, which is exactly what she did. And you don't have to take my word for it. There were witnesses there who saw it. Okay? There were witnesses there who saw it. Okay? Jeff ATL says, Queen, what's up with you calling me a drowning rat? Tisa tells, huh? I don't remember calling you a drowning rat. I was talking about another YouTuber. Yeah, that is what she said. She said she was, when I told her, I said, listen, I said, so you're going to sit here in my face and tell me that you never said those words on your live? She was like, well, I did, but I wasn't talking about you. Why would I ever say that about you? You're absolutely beautiful. I was actually talking about another YouTuber, and it was a guy. And I'm so glad we cleared this all up. Well, here's the thing. She just said on her video the other day that she basically doesn't go off on people like that, doesn't really call people names, that she tries to resolve things or that she keeps her calm. Okay? So that further proves that she's a liar. All right? She absolutely said that. And we all know who she was talking about. She wasn't talking about some other YouTuber. We already know she's a liar because she said that she didn't know who I was, but she's been in my whole chat and copied my talking points. Please miss me with it. Okay? So, and this is not to bash her. This is just to put out the truth and facts. I promise you today, I'm not going to tell you any lies and I'm not going to paint you any narratives. I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Okay? So now, another thing that I noticed that she said, I know, hold on. Gwyneth says, Queen, Tisa said you have fake locks. Well, you've all seen the roots of my hair. These are not fake locks. And that just goes to show. Now, I want you all to pay attention. She said fake locks. Tisa knows that my hair is real because she's seen me up close and personal at the courthouse. Okay. Let me just show you what. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. At the end of the day, she knows that my locks are real. Hold on. She absolutely knows that my locks are real. That was just something for her to say because she was being hateful. But people will be quick to say, oh, Queen, you're hating on her. You're hating on her. That's what they'll be quick to say. When in fact, and here's why they'll say that. I want y'all to pay attention. Because for one, hold on, let me send this to my email real quick because I'm going to want to show you all this screenshot in just a second. The reason people will be quick to say that I was hating on her is because to some people, Tisa Tales can do no wrong. Okay? To them, she can't do anything wrong, period. Some people linger on every word that she says. Hold on. Bear with me, beloveds. I'm sending a couple of things to my emails or to my email. Now, with that all being said, here's the thing. Hold on, let me find one more screenshot that I'm looking for. And likes up, everyone, please like and share. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Now, if you don't like me or my commentary, I don't have a problem with that. Question is, why would you be in my chat if that's the case? Okay? I know everybody has their picks and favorites. I know everybody has YouTubers that they love and some of them that they hate. Bottom line is, let's not worry about whether or not you like somebody. Let's worry about the truth and the facts. Because one thing I noticed that Tisa said was that some of us are using the same talking points. She said some of us are all saying the same thing. And she said, that's how you know that Diddy paid us off. Or she said something along those lines. I don't want to misquote her. But here's the bottom line. Maybe we're using the same talking points, not because Diddy paid us off, but because we're reporting what actually was said and what actually transpired in the courtroom. And what she's saying is markedly different from what many of us are saying. That's why it's important for people to have the transcripts. And let's talk about the transcripts, because I also heard Tisa say, which is a lie. She said that Diddy's people, which the lady's name is Holly, by the way. She said that Holly was trying to get her to change her story about something about Diddy and saying that Diddy didn't send Cassie's mother the money back. What did I tell you all? I told you all that even if Diddy did send the money back to Cassie's mom, that's still extortion. Okay? I also use the analogy that if you rob a bank and you come back and return the money, you still rob that bank. All right? So that's the thing about that. Holly didn't try to get Tisa to change her talking points. And when she talked about Holly saying that she would give her the transcripts, well, Holly was giving anybody the transcripts. In fact, how I found out about her giving out the transcripts was not through her or anyone else from Diddy's team. It was actually from Megan Kuniff. Megan Kuniff, whom I interviewed, those of you who saw it, okay, those of you who saw the interview that I did with Megan Kuniff, I spoke to her that day, which was the last day she was there. And, you know, I asked her, how do I get the transcripts? Okay. She said, go to Holly, Diddy's publicist. So that's what I did. She said, just go to her and give her your email. So that's what I did. That's what many people did. That doesn't mean that Diddy's people paid us off. That doesn't mean we're working for the defense. That's crazy. Because I literally sat here on my live many a times and told you all, I still don't like Diddy. I'm not riding for Diddy. It wasn't a celebration about Diddy. It was a celebration about the facts of the law being presented and justice being served. Now, you can say justice wasn't served because Diddy didn't get hit with a RICO or he didn't get convicted of the RICO. My point was this. The prosecution was trying to they were trying to have a set precedents, okay? And that could have been very dangerous. I told you all, if that whole thing had gone the way they wanted it to go, then there could have been many people who looked like me, okay, being arrested and hit with RICO charges for simply flying out somebody that they met online because they saw a beautiful Instagram model that they wanted to have a good time with or they wanted to date. That was very dangerous. Okay. And also, I have 2 Black sons. So I definitely didn't want that to become the norm, the standard. And also, let's talk about this. One thing that I will say about Tisa Tells is she is very good. I did yell at her in the crowd. I said, oh, she doesn't like Black men. Well, I don't think she does like Black men. And I'm not the only one who said that. Many people have said that about her. But what I do know is this. She is always going in on Black men, but she never goes in on Caucasian men. Have y'all noticed that? Have y'all noticed that? Please tell me, did she go in on Vince McMahon for the sexual assault charges that he had against him? Did she say anything about Peter Nygaard? Did she say anything about Mike Jeffries, the former Abercrombie and Fitch CEO, who had the same charges as Diddy, who got bail and Diddy didn't? Did she say anything about why? Did she even ask the question? Did it even pop up in her head for her to say, why is this man getting bail and Diddy's not? That doesn't mean you're defending Diddy if you ask that question. That just means that you see there's a level of bias, racial bias, because why is the Black man accused of the same thing as the Caucasian man, but yet the Black man gets no bail and they say he is a danger to society and he has intimidated witnesses, but then the Caucasian man, who also could be deemed as a danger to society, because didn't they say that he too was accused of intimidating witnesses? Okay. And they said he wasn't a flight risk, but he has the money that Diddy has and he has a private jet like Diddy has. How is he not a flight risk? Now he's not even going to be prosecuted because they claim he has dementia all of a sudden. So Tisa's not going to ever try to talk about those type of stories. That's what further leads us to believe that she does not like Black men. And for those of us who saw her boyfriend who was at the trial, one day he was at the court. I only saw him for one day, but he's not a Black man. Okay, he's Caucasian. So with that all being said, yeah, we definitely feel that way for a reason. It's not like it's unfounded. Okay. So with that all being said, I don't want to spend too much time on that. Let's get into some of the things that she said that were in fact not true. Now I'm going to play a couple of her video clips. I'm going to let you hear the audio. I'm not going to play the video because I don't need her hitting me with a copyright strike. Okay, please pay attention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share my screen in just a second. Now, I'm going to share my screen. You're going to hear her audio, but I'm not going to let you see the video.
And this spells the end. Listen, we said it before. Brian still entered his defense, had an amazing day. But baby, even a broken clock is right twice a day. What has happened? Bona has taken the stand. A forensic specialist on that beating of Cassie in 2016 has taken the stand. And this spells the end of anything Diddy thought he had going on. Let's get into this. Now, let me just say one thing. They have learned a lot from Mia. When I say that they came in hot today, they came in hot. Bona sat down, all right? Bona sat down, and they said, what's your name? She said, Bona. She's like, and how do you know Diddy? He hung me off of a 17-foot floor balcony and then picked me up. Bona is literally only this high. She is a small, little, petite, small-spoken thing. He said he picked her up, right? When he went into the house, after throwing knives at Cassie, like it was like an assassin film. What is going on? Picked up Bona, held her by her chest over a 17-foot balcony. If you've been in LA, you know Cassie's house on Comstock. Baby, it is 17 floors up. Held her over the balcony, and then when everybody was begging him to stop, literally just threw her to the side. You guys, Sean Diddy Combs and his reign of terror is here. Now, we do know that based off of the defense testimony, they plan to say that Diddy in some way was acting like the Incredible Hulk on crack because Bono was giving Cassie rugs and he didn't like friends that gave Cassie rugs. And I said, but that's impossible, because what were you doing? Protecting her innocence so she could make sure that she could ingest plenty of narcotics during a freak off? It's a little disconnect, but again, all that Diddy needs to do is just leave enough doubt. They only need one juror to say, I'm not convinced. They only need one juror to say, no. Mia loved being thrown into glass patio furniture and still having back and body pain and severe psychological trauma. Interestingly enough, okay, Diddy's team is supposed to, and this is what is being whispered, okay, we'll see what pans out. Diddy's team is supposed to actually say that, no, listen, you don't understand. She just wants money. It's a civil suit. However, they're saying that this Bono stuff and the civil suit may predate Cassie's suit, and that Bono has been keeping it quiet for a while. If that is true, it's going to be very, very hard to see how Diddy explains that. But forget.
Okay. Now you all heard that. She basically said that Bono's suit predated Cassie's suit, and Diddy is going to have a hard time explaining that. Well, why would Diddy have to explain that? Why would Diddy have to explain why this woman's lawsuit came before Cassie's? Like, that literally makes no sense to me. Okay. Another thing is, she acted like this woman's testimony was credible. The defense did a very good job of portraying her as a liar, because in fact, that's what she was. She lied. She said it happened January the 26th of 2016. The defense proved that that was not true, that it couldn't have happened on that day. They proved that it was not physically possible for Diddy to have dangled her the way that she claimed that he did, holding her up under her arms by her breast. First of all, how did he not drop her? That's not even a tight grasp. And she herself said on the stand that she was pushing back against him, so she wasn't even holding still. So none of it made any sense if we think about physics and gravity. None of that made any sense. Her testimony to me was more damaging for the prosecution than favorable to them. And I couldn't understand why the prosecution, knowing that the defense had all the receipts and literally receipts and invoices to debunk what she said, why they still had her to say it. Maybe they were grasping at straws and hoping that people would believe it anyway, that the jurors would still believe it and just dismiss the defense's receipts. But clearly they didn't. Okay. And also, here's the thing. Cassie said in her lawsuit that this incident happened at a hotel. Brianna Bongalon said it happened at Cassie's apartment. If it happened at Cassie's apartment, don't you think that Cassie would have known that? Okay, so it was clear that was just not truthful. Okay, so there was, again, Tisa telling a lie about an incident that did not happen the way she said it did. She was acting like the defense was down bad, like they were going to be going through something, or they were so desperate because of this testimony or whatever. No, they actually filed for prosecutor, or filed for a mistrial because of prosecutorial misconduct, because the prosecution allowed in perjurious testimony. Now, that is a fact. And it's very important for people to read the transcripts, because if any of these people saying that we're hating on Tisa actually read the transcripts, they would see that she's absolutely lied in so many cases of things she's reported. Another thing I'll say is this. Tisa was in the main court almost every day, except for going towards the end. But the bottom line is, she wasn't always in the court. She would come in, get her seat, and then run outside to do a live. And I'm thinking, what the hell is she reporting on? Because the court hasn't even started for today yet. And they've not even said anything yet. But she's outside doing a live. That's because she was out there telling lies. Okay? She was saying some stuff that happened the day before or whatever, and some things that she thought, but she was also telling some lies. That's just the fact. Now, Gwendolyn said, Tisa said I had fake locks. Well, let me just clarify that. You all know that I don't have fake locks. That was just her being a hoe hater. That was her being a hoe hater. Let me just pull this up on the screen. This is a picture of me without a head wrap on. You can see that I absolutely do not. Look at the roots. You see those roots? Those are real locks, Tisa. Now, I'm not even going to get into any more about her wig. Okay. I'm not even going to say anything else about her wig because I don't feel that I need to. And I'm not here to bash her. I'm just here to put out the truth. Okay. And the truth is, my locks are real. Thank you. Okay. Now, that being said, let's go to another comment that I just saw. Let's go to another comment that I just saw. Hold on. There was a lady in the chat whose name started with a D. I don't remember exactly what her name was, but she literally, here she is. Des Henry says, I never saw Tisa being a hater towards other women at all. All I've seen is so much hate towards this woman. She can't help that she was blessed with beautiful genes. I'm just saying. Well, I agree with you. She does have beautiful genes. I've said that before, which proves I'm not a hater. Okay. I've shouted her out before, which proves I'm not a hater, or at least it should. I think she's absolutely beautiful. With that being said, and she definitely can't help that she was born with those genes. But what I will say is this. If you've never seen her showing hate, don't you think her lying and saying that my locks are fake is hating? You say what now? You don't think that's hating? Don't you think that her calling me a drowning rat and a hamster is hating? Especially because I've never said anything negative about her looks, not one time ever. I've only given her words of, compliments. Okay, you don't think that's hating? I absolutely think it is. Now, I know some of y'all think because she's so beautiful, she can't hate on other people or she doesn't have a reason or need to. But sometimes people don't hate on you for how you look. Sometimes people hate on you because of your intellect. They hate on you because of your creativity. They hate on you because of your energy and your spirit. There are a myriad of things and reasons why people can hate on you. So just because someone is beautiful, you can be the most beautiful person in the world, but be upset with someone else because of something they have that you don't, that money can't even buy. Okay, that's what an older woman told me years ago. All right, because I was trying to figure out why somebody who had all this money, and I didn't, I'm a college student struggling, why they were hating on me. And she said, sweetie, sometimes people don't hate on you for what you have. Sometimes they hate on you for the person that you are. Okay, and I'll leave that at that. So please make it all make sense. And you don't think her coming in my chat, interrupting my broadcast and saying nasty stuff to me, and then saying like a whole Karen that if I did anything to her, she was going to call the police. And me and Lisa Cabrera both laughed. And I was like, girl, why would I want to do anything to you? Okay. Why would I want to do anything to you? I don't want to put hands on her. I don't want to fight her. And let me say this too. After I confronted her that day at the courthouse and she said, oh, I'm so glad we got this straightened out. She literally would speak to me and I would speak to her. Okay, she would speak to me and I would speak to her, even though she gaslit me and tried to act like she didn't know who I was or whatever. I would speak to her and she would speak to me. Okay, I would come outside to do a live and she asked me one day, she said, are we on a break? And I said, no, girl, I just came out here. All right. And then one day I told her she was the next Wendy Williams. And she said, no, I can never be. She's the icon of this and that. So we actually had like pleasantries sometimes, whether you would consider that it was fake or real. But the bottom line is when all that fell apart is when she went back to talking trash about me behind my back. And then people came back and told me the things that she said. Now you could say, well, how do you know she said it? Well, she had to have said it because it was things that only she and I were there for. Okay. So that's why I was like, you know what? She's just going to keep being fake. And so I'm not going to be fake. I'm just not going to deal with her. So that's how that went. Nicole says, Queen, you should have snatched that half wig and threw it in the crowd. No, I would never do that. And let me just tell you this. I actually wish that I had not even yelled at her when she was going in on Ratchet, because really I didn't have anything to do with it. But I just got caught up in the moment and got mad because of the stuff that I'd already been told that she said, following him to the elevator, talking all crazy, being disrespectful. And then she called him a broke ass ninja. When she called him that, I was like, do y'all hear that? Now, if you remember in the beginning of my video, I was laughing and I said, oh my God, y'all, we got to see this. I said, Ratchet TV is so shiesty. He's about to call out Tisa tails. I was literally laughing because I was just going to catch the footage of him doing it. But like I said, I got caught up in the moment. And then now I'm yelling at her, which I absolutely wish I hadn't done. One of my subscribers said that they wish I had had a talk with her one-on-one. Well, I did have a talk with her one-on-one. But also they said they're so used to seeing me unbothered. And that's why I wish I hadn't done that, because y'all always see me as unbothered, because I don't let stuff rattle me or people get me up so upset that I, step out of character. But what I want you all, and then here's another thing that really got me and made me wish I hadn't done it, because one of my friends from New York told me that they got the video sent to them when we were going in on Tisa, and then there was a lady in the comment section that said something like, Queen Ahmadiyyah is a high priestess of spiritual and esoteric knowledge, but she's out here acting like a gang member. So I was like, wait, what? Let me tell you all something. Y'all know that for the most part, I am very high vibrational. I don't like drama and chaos and any of that. And that's why I was upset that I even did that. But the bottom line is, honey, we all fall short of the glory of God. Okay. I mean, we all can get bent out of shape and lash out. I mean, didn't Tisa, in fact, and I was surprised to hear her talking like this, not only call Ratchet a broke ass ninja, but she also told someone else, the guy from North Carolina Beat, Gerald, she also told him, oh, Diddy still ain't gonna let you suck his D. I was surprised to hear her talking like that, because she normally doesn't talk like that. The bottom line is, we can all step out of character, or we can all just do something that people are not used to seeing us do. That's my point, okay? And like I said, I would never snatch her wig off of her head, all right? Now, with that all being said, and I did start calling her wig after she called me a drowning rat and a hamster, because I'm like, at least my locks are real and her wig isn't. That's what that was all about. Okay, so now let's go to another one of her videos where she was clearly telling a whole lie. Lights up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. And I don't want to go through too many of these, but hold on. I don't want to go through too many of these, because I don't want to spend all my time on that. I want to get to what some people have said. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share the screen. Lights up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance.
Things are going down with the Diddy trial. Baby, remember how Brian still embarrassed the prosecution 2 days ago? Well, baby, they are not letting up. Bona is back on the stand. I had to sneak out because you guys are not going to believe what happened. Remember how everybody was saying, oh my.
Hold on, beloveds. That's the wrong video. That's the one I literally just played. Hold on. Lights up, everyone, please. Like and share. Oh, and by the way, while I'm getting this video queued, let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. Because I got to pay the bills, y'all. I got to keep the lights on.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. All right, so let's get back into it. I'm going to share my screen. Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. And if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, that's fine too. Thank you for the view anyway. I appreciate you as well.
Cassie, whether he committed attempted kidnapping, obstruction of justice, aiding and abetting, and arson, okay? I get the fact that they didn't dismiss RICO, but they dismissed the state charges that were some of the strongest, the predicate acts, because you need at least two, and the strongest ones that we spent the whole trial listening to testimony over. Capricorn, Cuddy, all these people, those are now removed. I get the fact that you still have RICO, but have we not been arguing with idiots in the comments about whether Jane was a victim, whether Cassie was a victim? Mofos, the RICO is going to be the hardest things to prove. The RICO's the hardest thing to prove, mofos. What are y'all talking about? God, let's get into this. I'm sick of people. Everybody want to be condescending, want to be the smartest person in the room, but nobody wants to actually talk about reality. Again, nobody wants to talk about reality. Yes, the major RICO charge remains, but that's like saying you still have your house after 80% of the inside have burned down. This is not, listen, the feds are taking a huge legal gamble, and I hope to God it pays off. But this is a gamble, and every defense attorney in Diddy's camp is probably making offerings to the Dark Lord because this was a major win. Now, let's also get into this. Now that we've accepted reality, right? Let's talk about why this might be a legal checkmate. Some legal analysis are calling this move a checkmate, and I get it. Because on paper, it looks like the feds just pulled off the rarest play in federal court. They got their cake and they're eating it too. Now, you're like, Tisa, what the hell are you talking about? What does this mean? Even though the state charges were dropped, the stories behind them were still told. The jury still heard that witnesses feared arson or physical violence. Allegations of bribes and encrypted, shut it down messages, and all the worst character evidence that would normally be blocked at trial. And because the feds originally included those acts as a RICO predicate crime, they're able to get it all in under the enterprise umbrella. So what's the legal translation? If those state claims had never been on the list, the defense could have shouted irrelevant, presidential, character assassination, and the defense might have won. But by including them early, whether he trafficked Cassie,
Okay, so with that all being said, here's the thing about that. The reason they got rid of those charges is because basically, hold on, let me put this back up here. I don't know why this keeps disappearing. The reason they got rid of those charges is because they didn't want to confuse the jury, as I told you guys that, okay? They got rid of those just so the jury would not be more confused than they were. And when Tisa was talking about state charges, well, the feds don't normally bring state charges, okay? They got rid of some of those things because they didn't want to, they knew they had overreached. At that point, they realized they had overreached, and they didn't want the jury to be confused. And they also weren't sure, if they were going to be able to prove certain things at that point, like she said. Now, she didn't lie about that. But the bottom line is they knew that they had done too much, okay? So, and here's the thing I want to say. There's a couple of people in the comments said, y'all need to leave this lady alone. Why are y'all doing this, crabs in a barrel? Well, here's the thing. This just reiterates my point, beloveds. I want y'all to pay attention. Those of you who have common sense and critical thinking skills, I want you to pay attention because this reiterates my point. What have I been saying? When Tisa says something about people, we're not supposed to say anything back. We're not supposed to respond or feel some type of way. And when we do, you're a hater. You're crabs in the barrel. Nobody seems to think, these same people don't think it's a problem that she would say I have fake locks or call me a adrenaline rat or whatever, or that she would call Ratchet, a janitor, or say he's beneath her. That's literally her words. They don't think that's a problem. So all these people are doing is proving my point. Nobody's going in on her. She went on her live yesterday for 2 whole hours, okay, and said what she had to say. And much of it was lies and BS. But nevertheless, none of them criticized her for it. Okay, but they want to come on here and criticize me and other people who are simply calling her out. Here's the thing. Let's just say that I'm hating. Let's just say that. Let's just say that I'm a whole hater. Okay, let's just say that for a moment. If I'm a hater, is everybody a whole hater? Let's get into it, because I'm going to pull up some receipts of other people saying that she's a liar who lies. Are they hating too? Well, I guess y'all who are down for Tisa so much so you don't think that she ever needs to be called out on anything, that she ever needs to be held accountable. I guess you'll say that they're also hating. Okay. Miss E says the alternate juror said the same thing you're saying. Okay, absolutely, because I'm telling the truth, beloved, and thank you for that. Fran says, I'm glad that you're talking about this. She doing too much, thinking she better than people, that she doesn't like black people. People always say that she doesn't like black people, okay? And, you know, there has been some questions about her race or whatever. I don't really care what race or ethnic group she belongs to. That's irrelevant to me. What is relevant to me is the fact that she says disparaging things that pertain to colorism when she's talking about people who look like me. Okay, y'all already know that she called me a drowning rat and a hamster because I have locks. Okay, that's what she was saying. And I told you that before. And also when she said that I was dusty, but I'm sure when she said that on her live yesterday, when she literally called me dusty, nobody got mad about that. But if I were to call her wig dusty, oh, why are you going in on Tisa? You're just mad because she's prettier than you. Oh, you're just a whole hater. You see how that works? So I want you all to pay attention. Like I said, she has pretty privilege, and some people are just going to ride for her no matter what. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm simply here to tell the truth. Okay, unlike Tisa. All right. So with that all being said, thank you, Fran, for your comment, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, so now, hold on. You're talking about her being in your chat, but how did you know she was talking about you if you wasn't in her chat? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, beloved. Let me explain that to you. How do I know she was talking about me if I wasn't in her chat? Well, because of the things that she said. I don't have to be in her chat to know that she's talking about me, beloved. That's obtuse. Why would you even say that? You really think that makes sense? You really think you just dropped a bombshell? Anybody can watch a person's video. You don't have to be in their chat watching it. You can get out of my chat right now and still watch this video and hear and see everything I'm saying, beloved. You don't get that? I was never in her chat, okay? I don't have to be in her chat to know that she's talking about me or to know what she said about anybody else either. That's just a dumb question. I can't even really believe that you asked it, Teal or Tail, whatever your name is, okay? So that's just ignorant, okay? That's just ignorant. And I'm not calling you ignorant. I'm saying that your comment was very obtuse. That's what I'm saying, okay? Yeah, I wasn't in her chat. She was in my chat talking smack. Do you know how disrespectful that is? That's very disrespectful, but you're not going to say anything about that. I find it interesting that you skirted over the whole point that I made about her being in my chat talking smack to me and then telling me to my face that if I dare to come after her for what she's saying and doing in my chat, that she's going to call the cops on me. You don't have a problem with that, right? Yeah, of course you don't. Of course you don't, beloved. You are further proving my point. So thank you for doing that. And I'm not even going to block you because if you don't like what I'm saying, I would hope that you would just leave on your own. But let me continue. Okay? Let me continue. That was the dumbest question ever. I mean, is she serious right now? So I am the Shaniqua Nicole says, then you report on them if she ain't because you don't either. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do, beloved. Absolutely. Once in the chat. I'm so glad you brought this up. Once in the chat. So why would I call her out? See, this is how you know people are stupid. Okay, this lady right here clearly is not that smart. If I didn't report on these people like Mike Jeffries, Vince McMahon, and all these other people, Peter Nygaard, why would I say something about her not reporting on them, fool? Does that make any sense? Of course not. Once in the chat, if you've ever heard me reporting on Peter Nygaard, Vince McMahon, okay, Vince McMahon, let me see who else, Russell Brand, Jimmy Iovine. If you've ever heard me reporting on specifically Michael Jeffries, because I think that I was the first person on YouTube to report on Mike Jeffries from Abercrombie and Fitch. I reported on him in January, last January of 2024. And I said that he was going to be indicted before he ever even was, and that he should be. So, lady, I don't know what you're talking about, okay? I don't know what you're talking about. That was just really stupid. Why would I call out somebody else for doing something that I didn't even do? I absolutely report on it. You see, the thing about it is, I'm on here and I have a certain stance about things specifically as they pertain to my own community. So when there's certain things going on like racial bias, okay, and things like that, I always point that out. So when I'm talking about people like Diddy and I'm reporting on him, you don't think I'm going to report on other people who don't look like him, who are accused of the same thing or similar things? Of course I am. That's just stupid. That just goes to show that you've probably never even been on my channel. Okay? You've probably never even been on my channel in your life. All right. So with that all being said, Nicole says, I listened to her before I found Queen, and she said, listen about 50 times, and I just removed myself. You know, she does say listen a lot. And at the end of the day, Gwendolyn, thank you, beloved, for your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. The T Lounge says, tell it. Snapple facts. Thank you, beloved. Okay. So, you know, some people are going to believe it. Some people won't. Empress says she doesn't know the legalities, in my opinion. No, she doesn't. You see, because if she knew the legalities for real and she was able and qualified to give a legal analysis, okay, like myself, okay, who is a whole criminal justice professor, why would I be jealous of just a regular YouTuber like Tisa who's up here telling lies? Please make it all make sense. The bottom line is she literally said the other day, and I talked about it on a video, that she wants the prosecution to appeal. And she was very serious about that. Now, if she really had legal expertise, and was capable of doing a real legal analysis, anybody can read court documents that we pull up off a Pacer monitor. Anybody can do that. You have to literally be qualified to give a whole legal analysis, okay? So that being said, if she was so good at having legal expertise, she should know that the prosecution, they don't get to appeal when someone's acquitted. That's what they don't get to do. The defendant is the one who gets to appeal if they're convicted of something and they thought that it was done so by shoddy evidence, prosecutorial misconduct, or just something that was not right, prior bad acts, for example. They get to appeal, not the prosecution. Okay, so that was just not smart. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And I'm going to go to another video of some videos of other people calling her out on some things. Let me see who this is. Now, I'm not going to show these people's video. I'm not going to show these people's video, but I absolutely will. I absolutely will play the audio because I don't want anybody coming after me. Okay. Here we go. Bring this one up right here. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm waiting for this to queue after these advertisements. Okay, here we go. And then here's the thing. When people say that Tisa is lying about something, people then will ask the question, what did she lie about? And then when we literally tell you what she lied about, y'all will say that she's not lying. That's what some of y'all will say. Now, here's one person. I'm going to share my screen. You put up an overlay.
Was it there?
May I ask you this, Courtney? And Ariel, you can jump in on this as well, but I want to hear from Courtney first. Your home was raided by federal authorities, and I assume it is because of this material. Is that true?
Hold on, I'm going to fast forward.
Don't come true, then what? Would I have lied, or did I just get bad information? Or maybe I ain't got no sources. Maybe I just made it up. But how do you determine that? Because that's what the fuck Tisa tells me doing. What's up, Jill? Talking about her sources. Her legal sources was some shit. But you talking about legal sources. Your legal sources ain't no shit because Keeping G News was saying the whole time that this shit was phony. Man, make freak offs great again, man. Straight up. We bring it, man, when Diddy call, he bringing freak offs back. Tisa tells you in there. I mean that shit. Well, at least that's what my sources told me.
Hold on, beloveds. Hold up 1 second. Okay, now with that all being said, he's talking about freak offs and whatnot. Okay, that clearly was not a good example. Let me pull up somebody else because his video was called Tisa Tells Lies or whatever. Now, he did bring up some stuff that she, in fact, lied about. But at the end of the day, I didn't mean to play that part. Okay, that wasn't the part about her lying. Now, so what I'm going to do, hold on. Hold on, beloveds. And here's another thing. I want you all to keep in mind that at the end of the day, listen, everybody on YouTube is not going to get along. That's just the truth of the matter. We're not all going to get along, period. But the bottom line is we should just ignore one another. We don't have to say nasty things. And I would never have said anything about Miss Tisa Tells, like I told you guys, if she had never said anything about me first. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this thing with Sean G, where he posted this the other day. I literally just saw this yesterday. Now, I had heard some rumblings about this. I really didn't know all the specifics, but I saw this yesterday, and this is basically what he was talking about, I guess, when he said that Tisa was trying to get him kicked out of court or saying that he, in fact, doxed somebody that people claim that she doxed. Okay, so this is some paperwork right here. Now I'm going to read to you what it says. Miss Johnson, sorry, Your Honor. One additional issue we just wanted to put on the court's radar. The government has become aware of an individual who has broken the court's pseudonym order with respect to Mia. That individual was present in the courtroom yesterday, and the government saw that individual outside the courtroom at the end of the court day, broadcasting her name in a public square right outside the courthouse. We don't see that individual here today, but if we do, we plan to alert the CSOs and the court and would ask basically that this person be banned, okay, that she would be excluded. Now, the court terms, in terms of the individual, I take it that you don't have a name. You just have seen there was an observation of this person. Ms. Johnson says, right, we do not have his name. So when they say she would be excluded, I think they meant he would be excluded because the person was supposed to be banned from the court. Now, this was sent to the judge, and the person they were supposedly talking about was Sean G. Now, Sean G says, and other people said, that in fact it was Tisa, that Tisa was the one who in fact doxed Mia and Jane Doe, which I didn't even know about Jane Doe until after the fact. I didn't even know anything about Jane Doe being doxed until after the fact. With that being said, hold on, let me pull this up. Here it is right here. Tisa Tells, doxing and exposing everybody. Okay, this is a video that a content creator posted. So he's saying that Tisa tried to get him banned from the courtroom for doxing somebody that she herself doxed, is what he was basically saying. Now I'm going to put an overlay over this, and I'm going to play this video. This is her doxing both of the people.
We found Mia was Sarah Sneedicker. She and Diddy was executive producing a show about her life, Googling everyone. And Diddy, while he's sitting next to the girl he's supposed to be talking to, is texting Daphne, yo, you okay? I want to take you out. Let me take you out. And this is during the movie, right? And again, Diddy was around so many women that looked just like that. Don't tell me they had a connection. Sorry, don't tell me they had, listen, don't tell me they had a connection, okay? So she was like, okay, right? Listen, so they were sitting next to movie night, right? And they were like, okay, so listen, what is going on? So she was texting, let's say the one girl's name is, let's play Scooby-Doo.
So there's Velma. There's what's it? Daphne. No, we're playing Scooby-Doo, right? There's Thelma. There's there.
Okay, so I'm not sure what she was talking about when she said Scooby-Doo, but you all clearly heard her say Mia and Daphne's name. Okay, that's what she said. The bottom line is this. At the end of the day, she said their names. She doxed them. So why would you be trying to get somebody else in trouble? Even if they did say the names, you did too. That's my point. Okay, that's my point. With that being said, now you could say that she was reading a super chat. Well, whether she was reading a super chat or not, she still said the woman's name. And a couple of days before that super chat, she said that she already knew who the woman was, that she had already clocked her T. So if you already knew who the woman was, then when you saw her name in the super chat, that means you knew whose name that was. And even let's just say that she accidentally said it. Okay, she probably did reading the super chat, but the bottom line is this. You still said her name. So to go in on somebody else and then to say that you'll give $10,000 to anybody who can prove that you doxed the person, well, you absolutely did. So that was yet another lie. And she said the other name too. And then came back and said that she didn't. Now, really, all she had to do was edit the video. She could have just edited the video, but she didn't bother to edit it, okay? So that was just another lie. Mel says, Queen, we know your hair is real. Tisa is not worth it. Well, thank you, beloved. I know you all know my hair is real. But the bottom line is, I just wanted to prove just how dumb the lies are that she tells. Because she knows that my hair is real. She saw it at court when I wasn't wearing a head wrap on several days. Just like I was wearing that same headband that I had on right there. My point is, she knows my hair isn't real. So she knows my hair is real. So for her to say that it isn't, she literally just said that to be malicious and just to be lying. That's my point. For the people who think that she doesn't lie, for the people who think that we're not allowed to go back in on her when she goes in on us, like, please make it all make sense. RG Titan said, we ain't going to talk about that woman unit on Tisa's head in my laughing my A off. Okay, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. Real Truth said, Queen, you're beautiful, and we know it's real life. She's a hater. Keep doing you, boo. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. I absolutely appreciate you. Moi said, she's a big liar. I stopped following her over a year ago. Her voice is so annoying. Well, I have to agree. That Crazy Beach Era said that wig was looking dusty, Queen. Okay. Bro says, I know you might be thinking, man, we make consent on white people all the time. Or you mean content? How was that working? You mean content, not consent. You what do you mean? How's that working? Here's the thing. When we live in a country that's full of wanton supremacy, where we are the people that are on the bottom of the totem pole, how is it working? Well, it isn't working. But the thing is, we still need to draw attention to it. Okay, when our ancestors fought for certain things, it didn't always work, but they fought for it anyway because they wanted to bring attention to it, beloved. So I hope that answered your question. Okay, I really hope that answered your question. All right, so with that all being said, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Now, here is another video I'm going to go to. Now, I'm going to play this video and I'm going to put an overlay. This is another content creator talking about lies. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Going on, y'all? I hope everybody is still doing good on this fantastic Wednesday. So let's go ahead and dive into this topic. So I wanted to come on here and give you guys my 2 cents as it pertains to the Diddy trial. Now, I'm pretty sure that you guys are privy to the information that Diddy was found not guilty on the RICO, but he was found guilty on 2 lesser charges of transportation of Cassie and also Daphne Joy for constitution. And I'm paraphrasing there. You guys can put 2 and 2 together You know what I'm trying to say here. Now, Diddy is not completely out of the woods yet. It's about 1:02 p.m. Eastern time here, and the defense and the actual prosecution team are supposed to go in front of the judge to argue whether Diddy should be released or not. Now, at the end of the day, the 2 charges that he was found guilty on, they do carry a sentence of 10 years each. So that will be later determined. Now, as for me, I stood on business. I told you guys months ago that I didn't believe that this was a RICO case. I didn't. And I told you guys I was one of the few content creators that came out and stuck my neck out there only to get it taken off. And I said, yo, I don't believe all these accusations that they're stacking up against Diddy. Now, as a result of the position that I took in regards to that particular situation, a lot of people were saying that I was being paid to change my opinion about Diddy. And I'm like, okay. And then I lost a lot of subscribers and I was like, cool, it's all good. And then I'm just like, yo, people do not respect integrity anymore. They respect entertainment over integrity. Now, I want to reiterate for the umpteenth time that my overall position as it pertains to the Diddy trial was like, listen, we know that he's a monster. We know that he has committed some egregious crimes. But at the end of the day, what he's being charged with, is he guilty of that? Because if he's not, I don't want to see him go to jail for something that he didn't do. But there's a lot of people that have the mindset that, listen, even if we can't prove it, we know that he's done some crimes. So if he gets some time for whatever, we're good with it. As long as he gets charged with something, that's not how I roll. Because you see, my mom raised me to be an honest man. And I couldn't honestly sleep good at night knowing that I came to my platform and blatantly lied to you guys about any damn thing for a check. It's just not how I'm wired. But guess who's wired that way? Lisa Simpson, aka Tisa Tells. I can't stand her, y'all. She's a lying strumpet. I don't know where this demon came from or what crevice she crawled out of, but I'm telling you, she needs to go back. She really does. And I don't care about her platform and the views and the money. I want her to be successful. But if you're doing it offline, I can't respect you. And I won't respect you. And listen, some people deem Tisa to be the hardest working content creator on YouTube. I say that she's the hardest working liar that I've ever seen on YouTube. If I'm going to keep it all the way 100, it is a true talent to be able to sit up in your room or whatever the case may be and brainstorm and come up with all of these lies to present it to your platform for views and money. Now, honestly, all of my day ones out there, you know, when I first started YouTube, I was on Tasha K and I thought Tasha K was bad, but Tisa Tells takes the cake. She is a far more superior liar than Tasha K is. Now, listen, I know it seems as though that Tasha just caught a stray, but at the end of the day, I don't have no issues with Tasha. As a matter of fact, a few videos back,
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. You all heard he was calling Tisa out for lies. Okay, he was calling Tisa out for lies too. So everybody's hating on her, I guess. I guess everybody's hating on her. That's what some people are going to continue to think, and that's fine. Okay, but I'm going to set the record straight for those, specifically for the people who follow me. And, you know, there are some people who already know the truth. The T Lounge says, ugh, this girl been lying. I heard it in person. I was surprised because I was a subby, not anymore. Now, I want you all to really think about that. There's people, and I put several comments on the screen today. In this video alone, I put several comments on the screen where people have said that they were following her and they stopped following her because of her lies. If you go through the comments on some of the other channels, you'll see that people are saying, when they're talking about her lies, you'll see that people are absolutely talking about her being a liar. Okay? Some of these people were her own followers. So for people to sit here and act like everybody's just jealous and just being hateful, it's just crazy. Okay? It's absolutely crazy in my opinion. Okay, with that all being said, she absolutely has a huge following. And so do you all think it would be smart for us to be just hating on her and calling her out? Like, her subscribers, like, it's so far past mine, over 600,000. So why would I get on here and lie about her or just be hating on her? You know how many people that'll keep from subscribing to my channel? You take a risk when you call out people, especially when you call out people that have a cult following. You take a huge risk doing that. There's no clout in it. Okay, like Tough News, who you just listened to, said that he lost subscribers. Yes, we absolutely lose subscribers because some people listen to different ones of us. And if there's one that they favor more so than the other, if you come for them, it's going to be a problem. Okay, it's going to be a problem. So with that all being said, you know, hold on. OT Patrice said, facts, Queen, but her cult following will never admit that. Well, clearly they won't. And I think that I've proven that by showing some of their comments. Okay? By showing some of her comments or their comments. Raw Will says, I've been missing the queen. Everybody knows Queen's hair is real, beautiful and real. Thank you, beloved. Okay? Thank you, beloved. Nurse Bay said, you're a beautiful queen looking like Janet Jackson. Thank you. Listen, let me tell you all something. I really appreciate you all for saying the kind things. But let me say this. There are some of Tisa's followers who are just so nasty and hateful, and they don't want us to ever say anything against what she's doing. And I find it interesting because some of them have come into my chat and said things about, oh, you need to go check on your health, or your eyes are discolored or whatever. Well, the bottom line is, yeah, I do have health issues. But for you to be sitting here going in on somebody who has health issues is just so obtuse to me. I mean, you're not hurting my feelings because at the end of the day, I'm still here. Okay, I'm still here. So when people try to go in on me, come for me or whatever, that doesn't bother me. That just lets me know, and everybody else who has common sense and exercises critical thinking skills know that you're just idiotic. Okay, because health issues is something that none of us can help. Okay, I have kidney issues. That's something I can't help. If it causes my eyes to look a little discolored, the whites of my eyes, that's something I can't help. But also, let me just say that dark-skinned people, specifically my skin tone, when, you know, as you get older, sometimes also the whites of your eyes will become, they will have melanin. So they'll look darker also. So that's two different things working at once for me. So for anybody who wants to go in and say, oh, lady, you need to go check your health. Oh, your eyes look yellow. Do you have jaundice or do you have liver issues? No, I have kidney issues. Okay, let's just make that clear. And if you felt the need that you need to tell me, like somebody just did, but I blocked them. If you feel the need to tell me that I need to go and get medically evaluated, well, I've already done so. I mean, if you think my eyes look discolored, you don't think that I already know that too, because I see myself in the mirror every day. Like, it's just so ridiculous. But I digress. Further goes to show, but I want you all to pay attention. These are Tisa's followers. So I want you to think about what kind of people we're dealing with here. People that will go that far just because they're mad because I'm calling out her lies, which are actual lies, by the way. Well, do you really think that they have any common sense or any human empathy? Or do you think that they really care about the truth when they'll go that far to try to disparage somebody who has health issues? Of course they don't. Okay, please pay attention. And here's the thing. I've never even addressed my health issues on here. I'm only doing so now for idiots who keep telling me, oh, you need to go see about your health. I've already seen about it. So thank you. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. Because here's yet another person calling out little Miss Tisa for lies. Okay? And I'm going to use an overlay. And just so you know, Tisa herself has clowned me for my health issues, okay? Saying something about my looks and all of that. Well, again, I have never said anything about her looks. And at the end of the day, you know, I said something about her wig, but I'm just saying, never said anything about her physical appearance. While other people were calling her knock-kneed and all that, or whatever, saying she was chunky, I never said anything about those things, okay? Because that's not even what's important. What's important to me is the fact that she's telling lies. And let me just say this about the lies. For those of you, in case you missed it or you don't understand how the YouTube algorithm works, here's why it's a problem for those of us calling her out about her lies. Here's the thing. When you are a person who has a platform as big as Tisa Tells, when you have a platform as huge as Tisa Tells, right? You can literally control the algorithm. So if you're saying things that are in fact not true, which she does all the time, she mixes truth with lies, which is very dangerous. You know that scripture from the Bible where they say the devil mixes lies with the truth to confuse you? That's exactly what she does, and that's dangerous. And I'm going to tell you why in just a moment. But here's the thing. There's other people calling her out on these lies, so let's talk about it. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, here we go.
Do on a daily basis. So if you want somebody to cover the trial, there's a lot of channels that are just going to cover the trial, but it's not this one. This one exposes the lies, exposes the narratives, exposes everything. Real talk. If Tisa headbutts you, it's all head big like a beach ball. Oh,
Guys,
man.
you think it's done there. It gets only worse. We have another video, but this one also involves her and the witch, Nancy Grace.
Which face Grace?
The legendary witch.
Okay, let's go. Oh gosh. Yo, this is the face of evil right here. If this face is walking towards you, it better be Halloween or it might be your last day on earth.
Diddy goes to jail after exuberant celebrations outside the courthouse with Diddy fans dousing each other with baby oil, of course. Now a somber tone as Sean Combs heads to jail.
Can you pause
I'm
that,
Nancy
please?
Grace. This is crime.
I was there, and my boy Armand, that's who she's talking about with the baby oil thing. Just to let you guys know what exactly happened. I was standing right there, and I spoke to him after. Armand has not really been on either side. He's kind of been on one, then he'll go to the other side, then he'll go to the other side based on how what he's seen that day or whatever. You guys know Armand covers his stuff, and he's kind of like the entertaining guy. He has this whole thing about more oil. Like, people are always saying that stuff to him, right? So what happened in that situation, and it was actually Uta who we've had on this channel already in a panel. Neither of them are necessarily Diddy fans. What happened is Armand was just representing the more oil thing because he created that. All right. And then the guys, the Uta, started spraying oil on him. So that's what happened there. That's what happened there. It wasn't Diddy fans spraying oil on themselves. It was Uta squirting oil on Armand because that's his catchphrase: more oil, more oil, more oil. And then it got twisted. Just to let you guys know what was going on. Go ahead.
Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. You can find her on YouTube at Tisa Tales. Tisa, start at the beginning. Start with the verdict, the split. What happened?
When the jury walked in, everybody was on pins and needles. I'm not going to lie. Everybody in the courtroom expected him to be guilty on at least the sex trafficking.
Pause.
There was a...
Nobody expected that. Like, what are you talking about? Guys, if you go and look at the people who are actually in the court and look at their channels, I'm not talking about these ones. Like this girl, there's another guy from Canada. There's a few. I'm not talking about the ones that are just twisting the truth. If you actually just look at, like, Emily Knows Everything, for example, she called it straight. If you look at the people who are actually there, nobody was saying that they were expecting this. It's only the mainstream media that was saying that because they were trying to control a narrative, and we are exposing these liars. Go ahead, continue.
A somber tone. They walked in, and when they said, "Please read," and they said, "What do you find ye?" on count one, not guilty. It was a bomb that went off in the courtroom. The public audibly gasped. Nobody was expecting that. There were
people were not gasping. People were cheering. People were on their knees. People were crying. People were clapping, but gasp, like, "Oh my gosh!" Nah, that wasn't happening. I don't know what she's talking about. I wasn't actually there when the verdict was read, but everybody who was there, that's what they told me. This is the only person saying that people gasped. Go ahead.
tears of joy from Diddy's side. Count two, what say ye? Not guilty. Again, another bombshell went off. People were in utter disbelief. Even Diddy's most ardent supporters did not expect him to get off on the count of sex trafficking with Cassie. Count three, when
Pause
they
it. If you guys have been here, I've been saying it from day one. This guy's not guilty. Like, real people have been saying this since day one. It's only liars like these people.
guilty for transportation of a prostitute. When they say guilty for the mayonnaise, that is when Diddy's team actually cheered. Yeah,
That's all right. Okay, come on. Almost like we were watching a pro football game. When the other ones came in after that, there were jaws on the ground. It was unbelievable. People were looking at the jury, searching into how they could get a verdict in this day and age. They heard Cassie's mother, the 20,000. They heard Capricorn Clark. They heard about the savage beatings. And it was unbelievable that the only thing they said was prostitution. And that is because Daniel Phillips, in his testimony, actually said, at least I'm guessing that it's because, that he got paid to have sex for.
Gosh. Do you know how this is such a lie? The reason why this is a lie is because the count was for transporting Jane, transporting the woman. It was not for transporting Daniel Phillip. If you even go and read it, it says, as per the count, transporting Jane. If you go and read the transcript, that's what it actually says. So she's lying. And I've been saying that since day one, y'all. I've been saying since day one. I've been saying these counts are fit. Go watch my Mann Act video on this channel. However long that was, maybe like a month ago, when I broke down the Mann Act. I said these charges for the Mann Act is for the women, because there's 30 plus escorts that they said they were using, 50 plus even. So you could have 5, 10, 15 charges. You only had 2 because it was for the women, and she's spreading lies and saying because of Daniel Phillip. It literally says it.
Trust me, Jay, the lies get worse.
Now, I want you all to pay attention. I'm going to go back to Jay in a minute. Basically, here's the thing. The reason for, I don't think I finished what I was making a point about a few minutes ago. What I was trying to tell you guys is this. Let me remove this overlay for a second. What I was trying to tell you guys is this. When there is actually, you know, a big content creator like Tisa Tells, who has this huge following, when she puts lies and misinformation and purposely embellishes stories or just flat out makes up things, other people who are smaller platforms who don't know the history of her telling lies, because she's been doing this for quite some time now. And there's many videos on YouTube about it. So everybody's clearly not hating on her. Now, that being said, when someone like her puts out these lies, then other smaller content creators or even big content creators who don't know that she's a liar who lies, repeat these talking points, repeat the information she's putting out, that carries the algorithm. Okay? That carries the algorithm. So then when somebody who's telling the truth, like me or like Jay or like, you know, Nick at Night or like Armand or like whomever, when we're putting out the truth, then people look at us crazy. People will be likely to believe her narrative because it's already taken on a life of its own. Okay, so that's why that's a problem. It's not that we're hating on her. We just want her to tell the damn truth. Okay, we were all sitting in the same courtroom, just like she was. We all heard the same thing that she heard. So why is what she's saying different than what we're all saying? Everybody has their opinion. I'm not talking about the opinions because the opinions vary from one person to another. As I'm sure you all know, when I did my broadcast in front of the courthouse, I would ask different people what they thought, how certain things made them feel. What were you thinking? What did you expect? And people had a myriad of opinions. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about the facts, the evidence, the testimony, the receipts, the exhibits that were shown, what the judge said, what the prosecution said, what the defense said. I'm talking about those things. Why are so many of us having the same things, saying the same things about that? But not Tisa. She's saying something totally different in many of those cases. Now, she'll say some of the things that actually happened, but she adds in things that absolutely didn't happen, just like he's sitting here showing. Why is that? It's because she's lying. Now, she went on her live yesterday and said that the reason we're all saying the same thing is because we've been paid by Diddy. We don't have to be paid by anybody to tell the truth of what we saw and heard in the courtroom. And again, if you're somebody who believes that she's not lying, go get the transcripts, okay? Tell her to read the transcripts on her live. Because I remember at the beginning of the trial, when she was first there, she did say that she was going to get the transcripts, but she never got them and read them, did she? Or did I miss that? You see, the reason she likely wouldn't do that is because then you really see that some of the stuff she said absolutely didn't happen. It just didn't happen. Some stories she embellished, but some she absolutely made up. And here's another thing I want to point out. So she basically talked about, you know, the Diddy's person getting into it with her and then trying to get her to change talking points and ride for the defense. And she said, I can't be bought because I have integrity. Well, I beg to differ. Okay, because if you have integrity, what you don't do, and especially if you have journalistic integrity, what you don't do is make up lies and paint false narratives. Okay, specifically on people of your own ethnic group. Okay, and that goes for anybody, no matter what group you're in. You shouldn't do it for anybody, period, no matter their race or ethnic group, but specifically your own. That's just what you should never do, in my opinion. But with that all being said, I want you all to pay attention to something, because now Tisa's trying to allege that the defense wanted to actually pay her or give her some sort of reward to talk favorably about Diddy. Why would they come to her and ask her that when she's been going hard in the paint against Diddy from day one, just like I had been going hard in the paint against Diddy from day one until I actually got to the trial, boots on the ground, and saw what was unfolded in the courtroom, which to me looked like racial injustice, bias, and a whole lot of lying being told by some of the witnesses and even the prosecution. Maureen Comey, I told you all that she flat out lied during her rebuttal. She embellished some things. Okay. So with that all being said, y'all don't find it interesting that now all of a sudden Tisa's saying the defense tried to get her to turn over on their side? Well, why didn't she say that before? Why didn't she tell that story a long time ago? I'm going to tell you why. Because she's lying. She made it all up. Okay, what the real problem is for why she's saying that, the real reason is because I called her out and said that I was told that she was working for the prosecution. Now, maybe she isn't working for the prosecution, but there were a myriad of reasons for people to think and for it to seem quite plausible that she was absolutely putting out talking points for the prosecution. I'll get to that in a moment, but let's finish listening to what Jay has to say.
She's gonna start as it go along in the video. She's gonna start victimizing herself and start about the scene.
And people, I saw the person in the chat just now saying, talking about a woman or because I don't control whether she has a PP or a VV. If I'm just telling you as a person, period. I'm exposing. I don't control if you're a man or a woman.
And here's the thing. People sound so idiotic when they try to go in on these men who are also calling Tisa out, trying to shame them as if anyone, no matter whether you're a woman or a man, young or old, child or adult, that you can't call out somebody on their BS, that you can't call out somebody who is purposely lying and misleading people. Why do they seem to think that a man can't call her out? You know, that's not the problem. They don't really think that. They're just using that as an excuse. They're just using that as an excuse. Oh, you shouldn't be calling out a woman. No man should be disrespecting a woman. He shouldn't be trying to bully her. He shouldn't be. Nobody tried to bully her. People are calling her out on her BS. And it doesn't matter your gender or your race when you're doing it. Okay? That's what it doesn't matter. I guarantee you, if that same man was calling out a woman that's none of them liked, you think they'd be complaining? Of course they wouldn't. Okay? Of course they wouldn't. Please pay attention.
You just so happen to be lying, and I'm exposing you. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. And if you've ever watched this channel, you know I expose it. I was just exposing Torre before this.
And Ticket has it coming too.
Yeah, I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Don't matter to me. At the end of the day, if you're a liar, you're a liar. That's it. Doesn't matter if you're a female liar or if you're a male liar. You're still a liar.
Yeah. Shout out to Jesse Bush. Jesse, thank you so much for the super chat. Jesse said,
shout out to Jesse Bush.
Audience is as terrible as her. They are still supporting her. And shout out to TLA.
That's
TLA,
true.
thank you so much for the super chat. TLA says, thank you for going at Torre. I used to respect him, but now I'm convinced he is part of a coordinated effort to attack Puff. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and you guys know, I always said good things. Shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat as well. And you guys know, I've always respected Torre's reporting, but He's now saying something that's totally not true. And again, guys, again, this is not pro Puff or against Puff. That's not the conversation we're having right now. This is a conversation about truth, integrity, and we don't want to live in a world where these lies are just spewing everywhere, and then people just keep following the masses because that's what they're told, not realizing that the M is silent, and really you're following the asses. That's the problem.
Okay, so you all heard that. You all heard that. That was another person, yet again, saying that Tisa is telling lies. Okay? This is not about hate. This is about people being held accountable for the things that they say and do. All right? So I guess we're all hating. I guess that's just what it is. I guess nobody wants to hear the real truth. And then here's another YouTuber. I'm going to share my screen. Now, if you see the title of his video, he says, Tisa tells the real gaslighter when the liar plays the victim.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tisa tells is the real gaslight when the liar plays the victim. Let's get into some of this straight game. I want to get into when people gaslight. See, I think Tisa tells think that I think she thinks that we're incapable of understanding what's really going on, if you will. And what she's been doing is she's been gaslighting this situation in and around the Diddy trial for profit, if you will, right? The real gaslight. When the liar or the person who gets caught in the lie tries to play the victim. And I need you to understand this. Like, you know what I mean? You got to understand this. Being called out for lying is not oppression. It's not being targeted. It's not being bullied, right? It's called accountability and being accountable for what you say, right? But right now, Tisa is flipping the script in real time, trying to gaslight the Black community by claiming she's the victim after being caught pretending to be Black, using the N-word, and speaking misinformation during Diddy's federal trial, right? We've seen some of the videos out there in which, she continually goes in. There was a live video she did yesterday, and basically when she was saying that, when they asked about her race or what was she, you know what I mean? Just basically trying to get some context into who she is and her background. She got offended and basically said, look at her hair, and as you can see how kinky her hair is, that she's Black, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, creating a diversion, never really fully answering the question directly. And once again, like I said, the gaslight is on. And like I said, she's been caught in a few lies. And now here comes the victim claiming or playing the victim, if you will, right? Like I said, once again, let me repeat that. She lied, got exposed, and now is crying foul.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. That's another person saying that she's lying. So I'm sorry. How many videos do I have to play for her people to get it? They're never going to get it because they don't want to get it because they don't care. At the end of the day, that's fine. But don't sit here and call the rest of us haters because everybody's hating. Yeah, I don't think so. You know that old saying that if everybody has a problem with you, then maybe you're the problem? Okay, that's what applies here. Okay, Goodness Rated Bo said, Queen, I don't have a daughter, but I have nieces. And I wouldn't want my nieces to be with a man like Diddy. Well, I wouldn't want my nieces to be with a man like Diddy either. I only have one niece, but at the end of the day, yeah, I absolutely wouldn't, beloved. Okay, and you asked also, would I date a man like Diddy? Well, no. No, absolutely not. You see, I don't condone anything that Diddy was accused of, nor anything that Diddy did, nor anything that he was convicted of. Okay. What I do condone is for the justice system to be fair and impartial. So my whole point of the celebration, like I told you guys, we were happy. This is what you all are not getting. Tisa tried to paint us as Diddy supporters. Well, first of all, Armand Wiggins never supported Diddy. In fact, what was so funny about her saying that is the day before, me and Armand literally got into a whole debate in the cafeteria because Armand was telling me that he cannot get past that video of Diddy beating the hell out of Cassie. And I said, Armand, you have to get past that video of Diddy beating the hell out of Cassie. He said, why? I said, because that video is about domestic violence. And he wasn't charged for domestic violence. So we can have disagreements and not come to, the same realization about certain things, but we still can have a healthy dialogue and not get mad or disrespectful. Okay. And we can still be cool afterwards. Many of us can. So this is not about us disagreeing with Tisa with her points of view. This is about her maliciously, intentionally spreading false narratives. And that is just not right. And calling us Diddy supporters. Now, y'all know I have never told you that I supported Diddy. In fact, I told you that I still don't like Diddy, and I absolutely don't. But based off of what he was charged with, well, they didn't prove the RICO case. Now, I thought they were proving it for a minute, and I was on here saying, yeah, they're proving it. They're saying this and they're saying that. But then I realized you're really not proving it. And here's the main reason they didn't prove it. The first element, you have to prove that a criminal organization or enterprise exists. They didn't prove that just because they said that some of his assistants were going and buying illegal substances for him, okay, which is illegal. But that doesn't prove that it was a criminal enterprise. Criminal enterprise, when you have a criminal enterprise, you all sit down, there's a hierarchy, and everybody has a specific role and a specific part that they play. If they really wanted to prove the criminal enterprise, why didn't they bring in KK? Why wasn't she also indicted? What about D-Rock? Neither of them were indicted, but neither of them were even called as witnesses. So when you have Diddy sitting there and the main people, his main or right-hand woman, Christina Coram, is not sitting there beside him, and then you don't even call her as a witness, please make it all make sense. Well, if she's not going to sit there and testify for you, prosecution, if she's not going to take an immunity deal and testify for you, then you should have indicted her too, if you really thought it was a RICO. Because if it had been a criminal enterprise, don't you think she would have been the one that was the most likely to be involved in it rather than the assistants who were just running errands for Diddy, even if some of the errands were illegal? Wouldn't you think that D-Rock would have been someone that should have been indicted? He wasn't even called to testify. Now, you could say, well, why didn't the defense call either of them? Well, because the defense probably didn't know what they were going to say. Or maybe they just felt like they didn't need to call anybody. Because remember, the defense had people they were going to call. We don't know who those people were. They said that it was two people that used to work with Diddy. Maybe it was them. Maybe it was Christina and D-Rock. And they were also going to call a forensic psychiatrist. But at the end of the 11th hour, they decided not to call anybody. And you know why? Because at that point, the defense knew that they were winning. So why beat a dead horse? And I've already told you all that before. If you're winning, like Judge Judy says, zip it, be quiet. So there was no need for them to prove anything further. They felt that they'd already proven their point, specifically after that very compelling and powerful closing argument that Mark Agnifilo gave. They felt like, we've made our stake here. We've made our claim, okay? But right before that closing argument, they changed their minds about bringing in any witnesses because they already knew that they were ahead in the game. And the closing argument further sealed the deal because they knew, just like we knew, those of us who are smart, that the prosecution had not proven their case. Now, Tisa's upset and now playing the victim and acting like everybody's hating on her because the prosecution didn't prove their case as she kept telling everybody they would. Oh, the defense is desperate. Oh, Diddy's cooked. Diddy's done. He's cooked. And then when he wasn't cooked, She knew she's going to be looking stupid to some of the people that she told all those lies to. See, this is how you know she was lying and painting false narratives, because a lot of the stuff she said, and she was so sure and so adamant about it, she really was. Go back and watch her videos, okay? At the end of the day, she knew that now she's going to be looking real crazy. All right? So that's what that was. It wasn't about anybody trying to hate on her. Carly says, how about her supporters stop stirring the pot and tell her to move on? Exactly. I wouldn't even be addressing this today if she hadn't done that video yesterday, because the whole thing could have been over and squashed by now. But no, she wanted to keep it going. So I felt the need to come on here and say what I had to say as well. Now, I've already shown you how a myriad of people have said that she's just a liar who lies or whatever. But let's go to the last thing I want to show. Okay. And that is, hold on, the Nancy Grace video, where she literally said that people wanted to delete her. The fact that she said people were at a federal courthouse while she's standing there with armed marshals or armed security, as she said, that's crazy. Do you all think that if somebody had actually threatened Tisa Tales' life, that she would not have gone and filed an order for order of protection against that person, filed a warrant for terroristic threats, and had them arrested and removed from the courthouse? You don't think she would have done that? Well, you're crazy. This is how you know nobody threatened this woman. Nobody threatened her. Okay? Nobody threatened her. Period. People went in on her. And if you're foolish enough to think that people were threatening her life and she didn't say or do anything about it, you're crazy. This is the same woman who was in my chat going in on me and saying that if I came for her, I'm going to call the police. That's what she said. Everybody that was here that day heard it. OG Patrice says, I know Danny Robinson called her out months ago. Well, plenty of people have been calling her out. Okay. S. Slogan said, Tisa got ADHD. That's why she reports the way she does. Have compassion for her. Honey, ADHD doesn't make you make up lies. Okay, let's stop being stupid. ADHD means that you may be hypersensitive about certain things. It doesn't mean that you tell lies, that you make up malicious lies to mislead people. And I'm not going to have any compassion for her until her and her nefarious fans have some for me and my health issues, okay, which can be life-threatening. ADHD, you're not going to die from that. Okay, so please miss me with it. All right. Now, like I said, Tisa has talked about me, okay, about my looks, specifically things that pertain to my health issues. So I'm not going to sit here and have compassion about her ADHD. But I will say again that that does not make you make up lies, okay? Now, that being said, let's go to this Nancy Grace video where Tisa was lying her arse off, saying people wanted to take her up out of here and all of that. I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to play the audio because I don't want any copyright strikes. And Nancy Grace needs to be careful. Really needs to be careful and tread lightly, because allowing people like Tisa Tales to come on your platform and tell these malicious lies, Nancy Grace, can get you in a whole defamation, libel, and slander lawsuit, sweetie. And if you don't know now, you do. Okay? Let's not forget. The owner of the platform is responsible for what is played and viewed on their platform. So if you bring Tisa Tales on your platform, Nancy Grace, and keep letting her lie, you may just wake up to find a lawsuit or a cease and desist, Miss Lady. Okay, that's all I'll say about that. All right. Now, let's continue. And again, I'm going to put up an overlay. And I'm going to tell you something too that's very important to pay attention to. I absolutely think that Nancy Grace, and this is allegedly, I can't prove it, but I absolutely think that Nancy Grace and Little Miss Tisa Tales planned this whole thing out. And the reason I think that is because Tisa is sitting in a car like she had to flee the courthouse, but you were just standing behind a barricade with 2 armed security talking about, I'm secured it up, baby. I'm secured it up, baby. So if you were securityed up, baby, and she said they escorted her from the courtroom, and she said the courtroom was locked down, and they brought her outside, and she was behind the whole barricade, protected. Why now are you hiding in a car? Because I would think that if somebody really wanted to do her some harm, she would be a lot less safe in a car by herself than she would be in front of a barricade or behind a barricade with armed security. Armed security has guns to protect her with. The barricade is there set up to protect her. If you're sitting in a car, somebody can come along, even if you have the doors locked and the windows up, and smash that window and get at you. That's what somebody could do. So I thought it was very obtuse for her and Nancy Grace to sit there and try to paint the fictitious narrative, in my opinion, that she had to flee the courthouse. Okay? That she had to run and hide in a car, no less. But let's get into it.
At Tisa Tells. Tisa, start at the beginning. Start with the verdict, the split. What happened?
When the jury walked in, everybody was on pins and needles.
I'm going to fast forward that part to where Nancy asked her about the threats.
Jury walked in. They heard Cassie's mother.
And everyone's going to want to know this. You're in a car right now. You had to leave the courthouse. Why?
I had to leave the courthouse because Diddy's supporters.
Let me stop right there for a second and say this. Here's how you know that her and Nancy Grace had already discussed this. Because Nancy said you had to leave the courthouse. Why? How did Nancy know that she had to leave the courthouse? How did Nancy know that she didn't just go get in a car to do the interview because she was tired, because she wanted to relax? How did she know that she literally had to leave the courthouse? Because they already had this whole thing planned out, in my opinion. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention, but let's let her cook.
We're out of control. The first time I ran and did my live, of course, I had 2 armed security guys. Everyone told me, the people in the courthouse is like, make sure you have security. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. It wasn't just me, but I'll tell you what I experienced. Diddy supporters surrounding me, threatening me, saying that they were going to hurt me. It was a serious situation. It got so bad, and there was so much chaos and violence that they actually had to lock the courtroom down and force the Diddy supporters across the street. It was something myself, the news media, mainstream media, new media have never seen in their lives. The level, and again, the jurors, I hope to God they know how to sleep at night. Because again, I'm sure they did their duty. But when all that chaos was happening, as I was being threatened and ushered out by armed security people, I thought, this is what the jury did. They sent a signal that it is okay to use violence. It's okay to drug people up. It's okay to live a life of debauchery. It's okay to do whatever you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen to this. Terry W. says, what did she lie about? I'm sorry. Terry, did you just pop in the chat just now, literally, beloved? Because I've played video after video after video of people talking about exactly what she lied about. I showed her own videos, played her own audio of her lying about things. So I'm sorry if you missed it, but didn't this woman, Terry W., just say the same thing that I told you all that her people keep saying? Anytime we call her out about lies, they keep saying, what did she lie about? Well, Terry, beloved, keep listening, because what she's saying right here on Nancy Grace, she's absolutely lying. So if you didn't hear anything else I said about her lies, listen to this. She's lying about people wanting to kill her. She's lying about people threatening her life. She's lying. Okay, just keep listening. If you had any sense, you'd already know that. Now I wouldn't have to explain it to you.
Because guess what? If you work hard enough and you have enough money and enough delusional fans and you have ingrained yourself in culture enough, that you can do whatever you want. And 12 of your peers will look the other way. Again, this jury was shocking.
Tisa Tells, when you say that Sean Combs supporters threatened you, what were they saying?
They were saying,
You B, you effing B. We're going to kill you, you effing B. You worked, apparently I work for the feds. You're a plant. You made this all up because of you. Again, they're not too smart. Because of you, that's how this case got started. We're going to treat you worse than we treated Cassie. Cassie, what we do to you, it's going to be nothing that they had on Cassie. They were screaming. They were yelling. Some people were saying, apologize to Diddy. Apologize to Diddy. Of course, thank goodness, we had Lenny and we had Jimmy, two of the best armed guards out there. So the one thing is they started foaming like wild dogs because they realized that I was not an unprotected woman. And they realized they could not just do what they felt like. And they started foaming like wild dogs, screaming, their voices cracking. And
now I want you all to pay attention. She literally just sat here and said people threatened to kill her. But then in the next breath, she said that they were mad because they realized she was protected, that she was a protected woman. So please make that make sense again, because if she was a protected woman, why would anybody be threatening to kill her? Why would anybody be screaming threats at a protected woman? And you don't think that, like I said, she would have had these people arrested? And she's clearly talking about me and Ratchet. And I'm going to tell you how you know that she's talking about me and Ratchet. Go look at my video that I posted days ago. If you missed it, go look at the video where I was recording when I was screaming at her and when Ratchet was screaming at her. She said they were screaming, you need to apologize to Diddy. That's exactly what Ratchet said. So therefore, you know she's talking about Ratchet when she's talking about somebody trying to kill her or saying they're going to kill her or saying they want to hurt her. She's talking about Ratchet. Then she says their voices were cracking. She's talking about me because my voice absolutely was cracking. I literally told you guys before I ran down there to watch Ratchet confront her, I told you guys previously that I was losing my voice. So my voice was cracking. So when she's saying that people threatened to kill her, she's talking about me and Ratchet. And we never threatened her, not once. We didn't even get close up on her. She was behind the barricade. There were officers standing there, or her armed security, whatever she wants to call them. So I'm sorry. She's absolutely telling a whole damn lie. Okay, some things to say, or some things to say says, I unsubbed as well. Okay, I absolutely get it, beloved, that you unsubbed because she tells all these lies. Now, Empress says, nobody hating her. 100. Exactly. It's not about hating. Okay, it's not about hating. Wendell says, Queen, you are a boss. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Robin says, something to say. What is her real name? Well, I'm not going to say what her real name, because I would never dox anybody, because I just don't get down like that. Even when I have audio recordings and text messages of what people have said and done, I would never, because I get mad at them showing you those things or whatever, or because I'm into with them showing you those things or whatever, like I've seen some people do. That's just not my forte at the end of the day. I'm not doxing anybody. I'm not here to dox her. I'm here to call her out on her lies and to tell people that we were not hating on her. Okay, another thing too is, don't you all find it interesting that these people that are defending her and saying she's not a liar who lies and saying, what did she lie about? Let's talk about how she lied about Shanquella Robinson. Let's talk about how she lied about Shanquella Robinson. No, I didn't know this until lately, because I didn't even know who she was when I was reporting on the Shanquella Robinson story. But many people have said that, in fact, Tisa lied about the Shanquella Robinson story, saying that there was going to be arrests made. She brought some guy on her channel, a Mexican man, and said that he was working on the case. There was going to be arrests made and all of this. And then we're telling people to send money to this man, allegedly. Now, I can't vouch for that because, like I said, I didn't know her then, and I clearly didn't want to go back and watch the video to find out or look for it. But that's what many people were saying. They were saying that she collected money on that Black woman's death, that she benefited and profited from that Black woman's death. Now, if that is true, and I believe it is, because so many people who've said it are absolutely credible content creators, in my opinion, and they have never really said anything about her that wasn't true from what I've seen and heard. So I find it interesting that none of her subscribers who sent money for that whole lie, you mean to tell me they don't have a problem with her for that? They're not going to call her out about that lie, lying on a Black woman's life, okay, or her death. bringing somebody on and telling your subscribers and other people to send money to this person because they're going to get justice. They're going to make sure arrests are made, and they weren't even working on the case. Like, that's all crazy. Okay, that's all crazy. Okay, so please make it all make sense. With that being said, I'm not doxing her because I'm not here for that, but let's keep listening to what she said to Nancy Grace.
Anger that they viscerally wanted to rip me apart. This is why their hero had been exonerated. Even in the best of times, these people that support him, there's something wrong with it. And I got to tell you, Nancy, it wasn't just me. It was not just me. It was anybody that didn't have a pro Diddy stance from the beginning. That's who suffered.
Joining me in all-star panel, but I want to thank Tisa.
Now, and here's the thing. Let me just say this. Eat Trade Travel says, I've never been on your channel before either, but I like to hear all the sides to a story and make my own objective decision rather than follow the crowd. Well, thank you, beloved. To be honest, I think that's what we all should do. I think that's what we all should do, beloved. And here's the thing. Like I have told you all, I welcome contrary opinions. You don't have to agree with me. Just don't be disrespectful, because I'm not going to disrespect you unless you disrespect me. That's how that goes. Okay. And you don't have to agree with me, period. Okay. So with that all being said, SJ said, peace and blessings, Queen, wishing you well on your health journey. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay. And thanks for everybody that sent super chats during this broadcast. If I missed you, I apologize. Okay. I thank you all so much. With that all being said, let's talk about something else that I wanted to touch on. And I'm going to do this briefly because I want to get you guys out of here. Okay. Now I want you all to look at this. I want you all to look at this screenshot right here. See that right there? That's Tisa and her armed security. Now, for the people who thought that I sounded crazy when I said that I believe, and I said allegedly, that she was working with the prosecution, spewing their talking points, and the prosecution is the feds, okay? They work for the federal government. So with that all being said, that's why I said the feds. But I did say allegedly before I ended the video. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I want you all to look at this picture very closely. Queen Israel said Tisa is definitely an evil liar and she should be canceled. Adrian says sidebar. Now you all see this. Y'all think that's regular security? Do y'all think that's private security? Is that what y'all think? Let me show you something. Let me show you something. She said armed security. Now, these are Tisa's words, not mine. She said armed security escorted her from the courtroom. She said the Diddy supporters were shuffled across the street. Armed security escorted her from the courtroom. She also said that her man paid for her security. And she just said yesterday that next time she does a trial case, that her man said she needs 3 security instead of 2. That's what she said, right? Well, so if she had private security that her man paid for and they were armed, what y'all should ask yourselves, because nobody seems to have caught this, how did her private security that her and her man hired bring guns into a federal courthouse? How did they bring guns into a federal courthouse to escort her out? Now, we saw them standing outside with the barricades. But how did they, why would private security for anybody, Tisa or anyone else, be allowed to bring guns into a federal courthouse? Does anyone have an answer for that? Can anyone please make that make sense? And while y'all are pondering on that for a second, I'm going to show y'all something. See, here's what I want y'all to pay attention to. The lies that little Miss Tisa tells, not to be a whole tongue twister, they're dangerous. You know why her lies are dangerous? because they're no different than the lies that Grandmaster Jay was telling that caused a black man to be sitting up in prison right now to this day. They're no different. And I'm going to show you why. Now, I don't know if she was 100% being paid by the prosecution, but I absolutely think that she was. And some people said, oh, the prosecution wouldn't pay anybody. They wouldn't do that. The federal government wouldn't pay anybody. They wouldn't do that. Watch this. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. And while I'm getting this ready, I'm going to have another brief word from my sponsor for 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all been said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Now, with that all being said, again, let me say what Tisa said, that armed security escorted her from the courthouse. They had to lock down the courtroom. Well, here's the thing. All of us who were actually in that courtroom know that they didn't lock down the courtroom because she was in any danger. You see, what happened was they told us that when we go to break, when you come back, make sure you're here on time. Because if you're not here on time, they're going to lock the doors and you won't be allowed back in. You won't be allowed back in because the judge was getting aggravated with people going back and forth to the restroom and different things and running outside to do lives and then running back in. And so basically, specifically, when it got to be time for closing arguments to start, the judge specifically didn't want us running outside then. Once the closing arguments started, if you didn't get back in the allotted time, by the allotted time that they gave you for the break, you were just going to be locked out. So Tisa actually got locked out of the courtroom that day. She got locked out. Okay? She got locked out. That's why she went to the overflow room on the day of the verdict. That's why. With that all being said, she said she was escorted from the building by private security that she or her boyfriend paid for. Let's talk about it. Because we couldn't even bring cell phones or iPods into the court. We had to turn those things in and then retrieve them when we're leaving. So and they searched our bags, they sent us through metal detectors. So do you all really think, for those of you who are just being obtuse, and for those of you who don't know what that means, it means stupid. For those of you who are being obtuse and saying that we're hating on her, and what did she lie about? What did she lie about? Why are they saying she's working for the feds? And now she's making a whole joke about it, drew this little picture of her with the FBI fake badge and all that stuff. Here's the thing. Y'all don't think she's working for the feds? And again, I'm not saying that she 100% is, but I will say this. If she wasn't working for the prosecution, how does she have armed guards? Let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen. Now, if you can't read this, I'm going to try to enlarge it. But just in case you can't read this, feel free to look it up yourself. Feel free to look it up yourself. You see that? No. The answer is no. Here's what my question was that I typed in on Google. Can my private armed security bring guns to a federal courthouse? No. Your private armed security generally cannot bring guns into a federal courthouse. Okay? And why? Because they have laws for that. Okay? They have laws for that. In short, your private armed security personnel are not authorized to carry firearms into a federal courthouse, and attempting to do so could result in fines and or imprisonment. And besides that, why would you need your own private security to bring guns into a courthouse, a federal courthouse, when in fact they already have armed marshals? They already have armed marshals in uniforms. Her security that she brought, that she was standing outside with behind the barricade, those were not the marshals that worked in the courthouse. And those of us who were there know that, because that wasn't their uniform. But I tell you what is fishy. Let me share my screen again. This is a screenshot, a close-up of one of the armed security that she had. How did she have armed security at a federal courthouse when you're not even allowed to do that by law? Y'all see that right there? This is one of her guards. Now look at this right here on his chest. What is that? What is that? That's a talking device, right? Something you can talk and hear through. You see that? That's a communication device, per se. Now, I'm sorry. Who wears those? Don't the feds wear those? Don't the feds wear those? Now, you could say private security wears them, but private security is not allowed at a federal courthouse armed. So if somebody escorted her out of the building, as she herself said, and they had guns, they would have had to be the feds. They would have had to be the feds. So either she's lying about being led out of the courthouse by armed security, or she's lying about working for the feds. Take your pick, is all I'm saying. But hold on, let's not stop there. Let's keep going, because trust me, there's more. Because it's one thing that I'm good at is proving points. Okay? It's one thing I'm good at is proving points. All right? Hold on, let me go through some of these comments. Queen V said, Queen, you're speaking straight facts. Thank you, beloved. I try to. That's all I aim to do is tell the truth and nothing but. I'm not here to try to hate on anybody or tell lies or paint false narratives. So that all being said, that should have let you all know something right there. That should have let you all know something right there. And just so you know, this wasn't her regular security. She had a big black guy who was supposed to be her security while she was there. One day her boyfriend was there, like I said, but then she had this big black guy who was there that was supposed to be her security. He was always outside. I never saw him inside the building. I don't think that he was armed. I don't know if he was or not, but I don't think that he was. But on this day, she had armed security, as she said, and she was behind a barricade. And she said that the court told her she needed to have security because things were going strange. Weird things were happening. She also said, if you all remembered, I'm glad I just thought about this, when she was going on that whole rant, said that she would pay $10,000 if they could prove that she doxed somebody. She said that they sent an email to the judge. How did she know that there was an email sent to the judge? Who would have told her that the judge had an email about somebody doxing somebody that was a witness? How would she have known that so quickly? Think about that. Who told her that? Now, the people that were doxed were the prosecution's witnesses. Did the prosecution tell her that? I don't know. Maybe some other sources told her that. But how did she know what the judge got in his email? How did she even know that? Okay? Because the rest of us found that out later, far later. But she knew it right then and there. That same day, she hops on live saying that, oh, they sent an email to the judge and this, that, and the third. How did she know that so quickly? Because we all found out like days later, like maybe a week or so later. Okay? But anyway, hold on. Let me just pull up this. Because here's the real trick to the story. Because some of y'all might think it's a conspiracy theory, but let me just show y'all something. Because what I do know is this. Y'all think the government doesn't pay social media influencers? Is that what y'all think? Let's get into it. Before I show this receipt, let me just pull this up first. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Let's type this question in on Google. The question I just typed in on Google that I want you all to see is, has the government ever used the media for propaganda? That's the question. And here's the answer. Yes, governments throughout history frequently utilize media for propaganda purposes. This practice involves disseminating information, often biased or misleading, just like Tisa Tales has been doing, to influence public opinion and behavior, particularly during times of conflict or political campaigns. Okay? That's the first thing. And again, I'm not saying that she's working for the feds. I'm saying that I was told that, and I believe it because of some things. And I'm going to show some more things. Now, maybe she wasn't, but let's not act like it's not even plausible. Let's not act like it's so far-fetched and so far-reaching, okay? And please pay attention. Y'all don't find it the least bit suspicious that she never once alluded, insinuated, or even implied in any way, shape, form, or fashion that the defense was trying to get her to flip, that they were trying to offer her something in exchange for her changing her talking points about Diddy. She never said any of that until I said that I was told, some of us were told, that she was being paid by the prosecution. Now all of a sudden, oh, the defense is paying people. Now she's saying we're being paid. Y'all don't think she would have been told y'all if we were being paid? Now all of a sudden we're having the same talking points because we're being paid. She is the queen of propaganda and lies. She does a very good job at it as far as I'm concerned. I have to give her flowers. She pushes these false, fictitious narratives, and many people believe them. But at the end of the day, y'all don't find that the least bit suspicious that she never said anything about that before until she got called out for it. Now let's continue. Here's another receipt. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Please pay attention. Governments need to use social media influencers as part of their communication strategy. A social media influencer has established credibility with a large audience within their platform. Their followers turn to them for their expertise and their ability to influence. Governments need to use these people. So y'all still think I sound crazy? Y'all still think that's a conspiracy theory? And again, I'm not saying that she was paid by the prosecution. I'm saying that I think she absolutely was paid by the prosecution. Because for one, for her to be able to get on a line or get on a list that only credentialed press was allowed to be on, and for her to be able to get in there, her and two of her friends, which made it to where not 14 people were allowed to get in line. Now it's only 11. That's another thing that rubs some people the wrong way, because people knew that she was on the line or on the list. People knew that she's walking up in there and she doesn't even have press credentials. While there were some people who actually had press credentials and they couldn't even get in. How did Tisa get in there? Was the prosecution paying her? And also, the marshals would save her seat. You better not dare sit in that seat. One day, somebody made a bet that they would sit in that seat. And when they walked in there and tried to sit in it, the marshal told them, that's saved for somebody. And he called Tisa Diana Ross. So I want you all to pay attention. Now, you could say, oh, y'all are just hating because she had preferential treatment. Nobody's hating because she had preferential treatment. It's just that when we started seeing certain things transpire that none of the rest of us could do, we thought it was a bit suspect. And then when somebody who's been at 16 RICO cases tells us that this is what happens, and that not only Tisa, but some Asian influencers were being paid to do the same thing, and this is all alleged because, again, I can't prove it. And then I hear this Asian influencer say that Diddy turned to her in the courtroom and said, I know you, in a threatening manner. And that absolutely never happened. That absolutely never happened. And this person has over 1 million followers. So you don't think that I believe what they said, or at least think that it's plausible? Of course I did. Of course I did. It's been done throughout history. They've always used the media, but now that we have social media, you all know that social media carries a whole lot more weight than the regular lamestream media, as I call them. Okay? That's why they call us influencers, because they know that we influence people. So with somebody that has the following that Tisa has, who's pushing a pro-prosecution narrative, you don't think the prosecution would show her some favor and may want to offer her a few bucks? Not that she needed it, because she makes a whole lot on YouTube, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, you don't think that makes any sense? Okay? I would just beg you to please use your common sense and critical thinking skills. Okay? Just do that. Here's another one. This is no different than the stuff that Grandmaster Jay was doing. And it's very dangerous, because you can really push some very dangerous narratives, specifically as it pertains to people who look like me. And that's why I got so heated. Another reason I got so heated is because when she called Ratchet a broke ass ninja, what do y'all think about that? Y'all don't think there's anything wrong with that? For her to call a black man a broke ass ninja? Y'all don't think there's anything wrong with that? That was triggering for me. Okay? That was triggering for me, specifically when there's questions about whether or not she even likes black men. Okay, now here you go right here. How government agencies can launch an influencer program from scratch. Government agencies. Still think I sound crazy? You still think it's conspiracy theories? Here's another one. This is the last one I'll show. This is, YouTube can literally be used as COINTELPRO. Okay? They don't do it the way they used to. They have a whole nother modernized way of doing it. They don't just use the lamestream media. They use people like us who are willing. But Tisa said, I have integrity. I can't be bought. Well, I have questions about that, little Miss Tails. Okay, can you be bought? Have you been bought? Are you pushing false and fictitious narratives? And is that why now you're flipping the script and all of a sudden calling us Diddy supporters and saying that we were paid to tell the same story? And that's why we all are saying the same thing? When the truth is, we're all saying the same thing because we're actually telling the truth. We're actually going by the things that were said that can be found easily in the transcripts. You're the only one who's paid these fictitious narratives. The next frontier of propaganda. Micro-influencers are paid to spread political messages and disinformation. They don't just do it for political purposes. Okay? So with that all being said, I think that I've proven my point for those who are willing to listen and be unbiased and not in their feelings. Okay? Tiff Time says, Tisa claims she is for violence against women, yet here she is attacking other women, or that she's against it. Right. Let me tell you something, beloved. Here's further proof that Tisa doesn't give a damn about violence against women as she pretends to. When I was there, I was literally attacked by this man named John. I did a video about it. If you missed it, just go back and watch. He literally attacked me and Secret Service Sam. That's another reason why I quit speaking to Tisa, because that man attacked me. Now, I'm not saying she had to defend me, but what I'm saying is this. When that man attacked me and Secret Service Sam, and we had to file a police report on him, and he was banned from the court, he was still able to stand outside and line sit for people. Tisa still let him line sit for her, even though I told her this because Trent asked me in the elevator. He and Tisa didn't know that I was standing behind them. And Trent was telling Tisa how this man attacked me and Secret Service Sam. And then he turns around and sees me. And he said, Queen, he said, tell her. And so I told her, and I said, yes. And also, he threatened to grape women that were in the line. Because I know she don't give a damn about me, so she couldn't care less if he attacked me, broke my phone, whatever. I had to file a police report. I know she didn't care about that. But what I did think that she would have cared about, because she's always talking about she's a victim advocate and all of that, believe all women type and all that. I told her, but he did threaten also to grape 3 women in line. And one of those women was already a survivor of sexual assault. She was literally crying. Many of us heard him say it. So when I said that, she said, oh, she said, well, I can't support somebody who's threatening to hurt people. But later on that day or the next day, I saw her outside putting his number or sitting there talking to John about being the line sitter for her again the next day. Okay? She was putting something in his phone. I don't know what she was typing in his phone because he already had her number and she already had his because he'd been line sitting for her. And actually, she actually showed him on her video one day. Another thing is she also admitted to cutting people in the line. She said on her video one day, oh, he charges 150, and she had John on there. He charges 150 to line sit, but y'all know me. I elbow my way through. Well, on some days she actually did elbow her way through. That means she cut people, she disrespected people. She felt like she was entitled and better than people. And that's why some people were mad. That's what made some people fall out with her. Some of these people said to me and others that they liked her until they actually met her in real life. That's what some people said. I have no reason to lie. But if she's such an advocate for victims, why does she continue to use a line sitter that threatened to rape women in line? And we all heard it. We even told it to the police when they came, when he attacked me and Sam. With that all being said, she eventually didn't even need a line sitter anymore because she was now on the list and she could just walk in even though she had no press credentials. Another thing that made me think that maybe she's actually working for the prosecution is because when we would get to court at later times, like if the court was starting at 11 or 1 o'clock, they would tell us to sign in, or we had to sign in or whatever and show our ID. And there's other people that can vouch for this. If you follow the infamous Sylvia, I'm sure she's talked about it on her live. But Tisa was the only one of us that didn't have to show her ID. And they still let her in. How come she doesn't have to show ID and we do? I'm sorry, but if you're on the prosecution's VIP list, now I'm not saying she was, but I think she was. If you're on the prosecution's VIP list, you don't have to do any of that because the prosecution's already got your back because you're helping them paint the narrative. And when they lose the case that they thought they were going to win, and that you've been promoting that they're going to win, and you've been talking about how Diddy's going down and he's cooked, and how the defense is desperate, and how the defense comes in and says, that's okay, which they never did. And you're saying that his family was looking for you. Where's Tisa? Where's Tisa? And you're on your life saying, I'm right here, baby, when they were never looking for you. And you're saying that his publicist, Holly, was trying to get you to change your talking points, and that's why you and her, had this back and forth. When the real truth of the matter is, for people that saw it, is that the real reason her and Holly had an issue is because Tisa ran up one day when Holly was talking to a guy, and Tisa wanted to intervene in their conversation, and Holly said, hold on, don't interrupt me. And Tisa's like, but I didn't interrupt. Holly said, don't interrupt me. Because she just invited herself to their conversation, which had nothing to do with her. That's the only thing that supposedly transpired between her and Holly that I know of. As far as Holly offering her something to change her story, that literally never happened. Okay? That never happened. She just made it all up because I called her out after that lady specifically told us that Tisa was being paid by the prosecution. Again, I can't substantiate that. It's an allegation. But I absolutely believe it. So that's it. Okay? That's it. With that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Nancy Grace is another person who has told some things that are not true. She said Diddy was crying when he didn't get bail. When was he crying? I was sitting right there in the courtroom. Nancy Grace, by the way, has not stepped foot in that courtroom not one day since I've been there. And I got there the third week. Maybe she came beforehand, but I never saw her there at all. But she had so much to say about what was going on. Nancy Grace, the same lady who built her platform off of the OJ trial. And here she sees another opportunity to elevate herself by painting fictitious narratives and having people come on her platform and flat out lie and say that people wanted to kill her. Do you really think it's that serious that somebody wants to put hands on somebody, harm somebody, let alone delete them? Over Diddy's case? I still don't like Diddy. I think he's done a myriad of shady things. But at the end of the day, The stuff that they were accusing him of, they just didn't prove their case. And for Tisa to sit there, and some of y'all think it's okay, but y'all don't want me to go in on her. Y'all don't want us to call her out on her lies and BS, but y'all literally think it's okay. Some of you think it's okay for her to talk about the jurors, to call them, you know, ignorant and stupid and dummies, and say she hopes they can sleep well at night, to say they're misogynistic, to say that they got it wrong, to say that they were paid by Diddy. She better hope some of them people don't sue her. And here's one more thing that I'll say. Hold on. I almost forgot this receipt. Also, the guy, Clayton Howard, aka Dave, the S worker, go watch Tasha K's interview. That man said that Tisa Tales even lied on him. Somebody called me and told me that yesterday, so I took the time out to listen to the interview. And he absolutely said it. Now, I'm not going to play the clip because I forgot about it until just now, and I don't feel like digging for it. But that man said that Tisa Tales lied on him too. So I'm sorry. Is he hating on her too? Is he hating on her too? And has Tisa reported on the fact that he's accused Cassie of giving him an STD and being complicit in all of the shenanigans? Has she reported on that? Is she advocating for him? Because he's a victim. According to what he's saying, he's a victim. If you're going to advocate for victims, shouldn't you in fact advocate for all of them? She doesn't think that the men who were paid and who were called there to have relations with Cassie, she doesn't think that this man is a whole victim. He said Cassie gave him chlamydia. She doesn't think that man's a victim. So he's lying and he's hating on her too. Yeah, you should ask yourselves that, okay? With that all being said, I'm up out of here. Everyone, please like and share. Ray said, glad you made it home safely, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I am too, honey. I had a time. Okay? Cinch Prophet Bastard said, I never want to insult people or looks, but since she insults the Queen, I could easily say Tisa talks like Daffy Duck. Okay. Y'all know me. When people say things about me, it really doesn't, hurt my feelings or get under my skin because, hey, if you don't know me, I don't expect you to give a damn about me or my health issues or anything else for that matter. But what I would expect you to do is if you're a person with human dignity and integrity, that you wouldn't just go in on me about my health issues because I'm calling somebody out because they simply lied. And I'm not the only one calling them out. There's a myriad of people doing so. So stop trying to act like people are hating. At the end of the day, when people come out and say, when you criticize somebody that they love or they like or whatever, and then they want to just immediately say you're hating without even listening to what you have to say as to why you're saying what you're saying, that should let you know everything you need to know about them. They just don't want to hear it because they don't care about the truth. They only care about what they think and how they feel because they're in their emotions. That's why at the beginning of the broadcast, I banned somebody real quick because they were like, oh, Queen, why are you, they said something like, Queen, why are you Tisa bashing or something like that? I hadn't even said a word yet. The live literally hadn't even started. See, that's how ignorant some people are. You want to go in on somebody before they even say a word? That lets me know that you're already biased. So why are you even in the chat? I'm going to go ahead and block you. Now, Elite Leo says, Queen flips video outside court day of the verdict. He was talking to his mom because she was in the court during the verdict. And she told him everyone cheered inside the court for the not guilty. So Tisa lied. She absolutely lied. She said everybody was like, audible gasp. That's what she told Nancy Grace. There were no audible gasps when they said not guilty. Everybody literally cheered and stood up and clapped. Okay? Everybody literally cheered and stood up and clapped. Please pay attention. So she's just a liar who lies. It is what it is. Says she was overconfident. She didn't give herself wiggle room for a not guilty. That's because, beloved, she was painting a narrative, which is what she often does. And I guess it works for her to her benefit because she has acquired a mass following. I'm not going to risk my integrity or credibility ever by making up clickbait titles and sitting up here painting fictitious narratives and lying on people just to be doing so. That's what I'm not going to do. And also, let me just say this. At the end of the day, it doesn't serve me anything to really be sitting here doing this live, really, because most of the people listening that are Tisa's followers, they're going to just still try to go in on me and others and say that we're just haters or whatever. And some people who may actually be followers of both me and Tisa will actually side with her and say, oh, I'm going to unsubscribe. And that's all fine. But that's the risk you take when you stand on truth. Okay. Anybody can sit up here and tell lies and paint false narratives, but it takes a certain type of people to tell the truth. With that being said, I love you all to life. I hope you all enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got